Này thôi.
I'm going to mute myself.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to our October 10th, 2023 Gloucester City Council meeting. In the interest of government transparency with regards to deliberations and decisions made by the City Council, and according to open meeting law, for the convenience of the public, this meeting is recorded by video and audio, and a Zoom link was posted on the agenda. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications to be recognized to speak. Roll call votes will only be necessary if a specific matter requires one or a member of the council participates remotely. We have a non-discrimination statement opener for city council meetings. It's the finding of the City of Gloucester that no individual should be denied equal treatment or opportunity because of their age, ancestry, color, disability, including intellectual and developmental mental disability, family status, immigration status, gender identity or expression, military status, national origin, race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. I'd like to begin by announcing the names of the counselors that are here. Council Memard, if you'd introduce yourself. Council O'Neill.
Would two.
Jason Grow at large.
Tony.
Tony Gross at large.
Frank Majorta, Ward 3.
Encino, City Clerk.
Al Gilman, Ward 4.
Jeff Worthley, City Council at large.
So I just want to make sure I don't see Council O'Hara, and I think Council Nolan is not going to be here. So I'd like to introduce members of city staff that are here. We have Jill Cahill that is online. We have Kenny Costa. Oh, Jill Cahill is our CAO. Oh, Jamie O'Hara is now here. Great. So Jill Cahill is our CAO. We have Kenny Costa, who is our auditor. And let me look under attendees. We have 29 people here attending on Zoom. We have Chief Eric Smith from the Gloucester Fire Department. And that is it for city staff. So what I'd like to do is first order of business, Madam Clerk.
First order of business is oral communications.
Gonna do the flag salute.
Oh, I am sorry. Flag salute and moment of silence.
I'd like to ask that you all stand and join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America,
to the
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
in a brief moment of silence. I'd like to say a prayer for all the people in Israel. Thank you. First order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is oral communications.
The public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within a 2-week period relative to the disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each. Because tonight I'm first on the roll call, I'm going to ask Councilor Grow, if you don't mind, doing the timing for the speech, for the oral communications, and he will indicate when we're at 10 seconds before the 3 minutes, and then When the time is up, he will say time. So if anyone would like to come up, what we do right now that we're back at Zoom and on site, we are allowing people to that are here to speak first, and then we will go to the people that are dialing in remotely, who are panelists or just dialing in remotely. So Suzanne, welcome.
Good evening, Susanna Altenburger, 66 Atlantic Street. We design boats. I've been doing this since 1952. I'm making the room warming up for him, so it's going to be easier for my learned colleague. When I first visited Cape Ann in the late 1980s, I heard stories about folks never leaving the island. It was a bit of a magical idea. Well, there still is some magic apparently on Cape Ann because there are folks who still think that federal code does not apply to the commercial fishing fleet in certain ways. And why does it matter? From our perspective, designing boats for 70 some years, we know that this federal code has kept this industry from innovating. It's been frozen in time for 30 years, and no industry frozen in time for 30 years is going to do particularly well. It has been allowed to innovate the fleet structure, no modern fishing technology. It has lost reputation. The ethos of innovation has been suppressed, to put it mildly. So last council meeting, I brought you about 800 pages and about 7 pounds of harbor plans and fisheries plans. I'm not doing this again. No, what I'm bringing you today is a research report we did. We just finished up. The kids just bound the report. It's about 55 pages of what is not in these harbor plans and these fisheries plans. In all these fisheries plans since 2006 or so, for about $1.5 million, these specialists outside of town, paid consultants, but also academics. All the University of Massachusetts system is involved in all this, never quite figured out those federal rules, CFR 651, in effect since March 1st of 1994, the ones that have suppressed innovation. That's been damaging our fleet, our tax base, our job space, our reputation. So what I'm bringing you tonight is for each one of the councils a nice bound copy to examine why this has happened and what these harbor plans are supposed to do for us when they have not recognized the core problem that has damaged our fleet, not just in Gloucester, but actually up and down New England's coastline. How can anybody offer well-meant professional counsel if they haven't done their homework, to be blunt? So I leave you with these, with a learned city clerk. She gets her own copy as well. I know she's eager to read this. And I'm done with my talk. And I expect you folks to actually do the homework to study this, because this council in 29 years of CFR 651 has never once discussed this. That's a start. We spend more time on the dog park than on the fleet structure. We should change that balance. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Who else would like to come up to speak with us for up to 3 minutes for matters not on the agenda? Good evening, Joel.
Good evening. I have some follow along. May I pass out?
Sure.
right.
Thank you. Just give them to Joanne and she'll make sure they get distributed.
A few weeks I was before Joel Favazza, 28 Middle Street, here as a citizen, not on behalf of any client. That's why I'm in disguise tonight in shorts. So a few weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. Could you speak louder?
Yes, no, I'm often told I'm too quiet. I'm
Is
sorry.
that better?
All right. Good evening once again, Joel Favazza, 28 Middle Street, here as a citizen. A few weeks I was before you via Zoom, speaking about an issue in front of 28 Middle Street, which is my home, relative to an unsafe crosswalk situation, or lack thereof. I want to first off thank the council. This is definitely being staticky, sorry. I want to thank the council for passing along my concerns to the mayor's office. I want to thank the mayor's office for responding. However, I do want to point out that a few weeks ago in your packet, you saw the response that I got from the mayor's office. And I want to be clear, before coming to you, I've tried calling the DPW, I've tried calling the mayor's office, I've tried calling the CIO's office, and I haven't gotten a word back from anybody, so I'm back here tonight. And so the response I got back was twofold. As the request for the crosswalk, I was told that the city no longer installs mid-block crosswalks because it goes against best planning practices. Before you, this took about 10 minutes on MapGeo, about half a dozen or so quick examples of mid-block crosswalks, brand new, installed for the first time ever between 2019 and 2021. So disappointed to hear that we no longer do that when in fact we are clearly doing that. Secondly, in my request to just have the existing no parking zone striped. Again, I'm not asking for a new no parking zone. I'm asking for the existing no parking zone to be striped. The answer was, unfortunately, the DPW has limited resources and they probably would not be able to keep up with painting this existing no parking zone. And so I would just caution and beg the council, next time budget comes around, apparently we need about 15 more dollars in the DPW budget because they don't have enough money for paint to stripe an existing downtown no parking zone. And then at the very last page, I just quickly, give you some more examples of additional older mid-block crosswalks that have been installed within modern times. Again, some as far back as 2018. And so I just, once again, would please implore the city to consider, one, striping the no parking zone that already exists, and two, following the natural path of pedestrians, which is across Middle Street from the top of Angle Street, and making it safer for tourists, citizens, and again, selfishly, my children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel. Just for the minutes, Counselor O'Neill has not been here for 3 minutes, and she's now here. So thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Tracy O'Neill, 12 Friend Street. I am also the Ward 2 counselor. Because I was interrupted in speaking as a counselor last week, and because I was denied the opportunity to speak during the second half of oral communications, which was offered, by the way, to Counselor O'Hara, I am here standing before you now as a citizen. To Mayor Verga, his administration, and the Gloucester City Council, my ethics and integrity are intact. We, the people, have the right and the duty to question what our government is doing. When my constituent didn't know what to do or where to turn, it was my obligation to help her as a city councilor. I helped a woman who emigrated here from Portugal and has English as a second language. She had no idea what was going on with her home. She had every right to ask questions, and I had every right to ask questions on her behalf. In fact, I had a duty to do so. There's nothing unethical about that. In fact, it would be unethical to ignore her in her time of need. Mayor Verga, you ran on accountability and transparency. You, Attorney Suzanne Egan, and Chief Administrative Officer Jill Cahill called me into your office and told me not to have neighborhood meetings. I was a brand new counselor, and all three of you tried to intimidate me. And that's what you're trying to do now. I held neighborhood meetings and shared information anyway. And I helped a woman get answers while you were busy running errands, playing guitar, and doing schooner stuff. People have the right to know. People have the right to know what's going on in this city. Councilor Gilman, you abuse your position to shut down any debate or criticism. You decide who is the enemy, and then you decide that none of us get to speak or do anything. Your biggest thing here is to make certain that nobody gets to speak their minds, whether it's teachers looking for a living wage, citizens exercising their rights, or counselors standing up for their constituents. It's always you stifling them and shutting them down. It's always you stopping free speech. I hope that people remember that on November 7th and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
I'm going to try to get this right because that crackling's freaking me out. That microphone cracking, you guys hear that, right? Hello, everyone. I am here tonight to speak of Tracy O'Neill and Jamie O'Hara's ethics and their willingness to reach out across the city's departments to help a constituent. I have never for 1 minute ever thought Council O'Neill or O'Hara were unethical in their work for our city. It is my understanding that they were willing to talk to as many people in the city to get the job done. Council O'Neill and Council O'Hara have always worked to provide the highest standards for their constituents. Working to help a constituent, there was no malice in their actions, only the willingness to reach out across the board to help someone in need. As a volunteer of our city for over 25 years, I admire the time and effort it takes to fulfill a responsibility. It is with this admiration that I say, thank you, Council O'Neill and Council O'Hara. I am indebted to you both for your hard work and it is much appreciated. Patty Amaral, 14 Myrtle Square.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Welcome. If you would state your name and address, that'd be great.
Yes, my name is Ann Rogers Haley. My address is 5 Aileen Terrace, and I'm here in support of Counselor O'Neill. Tracy O'Neill, Ward 2 counselor, is a hardworking, ethical counselor with utmost integrity. She holds regular meetings, sends emails, and keeps not just her ward residents informed, but all ward residents. This is an amazing achievement. I'm not in her ward. Considering our ward counselor doesn't return emails or telephone calls, Tracy's amazing. Tracy works hard to keep residents informed and to help them solve problems with the city and its officials. She should not be punished, but rather she should be encouraged in her quest for transparency and accountability. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Mary Pat DeRosa, 12 Emerald Street. I'm here in support of Tracy O'Neill, and before I start, I just want to go over a couple of definitions. The definition of code of conduct is a set of principles and expectations that are considered binding on any person who's a member of a group. I want to refer now to Muni Code Section 2-43, which is official bonds, that says that every city officer, before entering upon the discharge of the duties of his office, shall give such bonds as the city council may require. The bonds I'm specifically talking about are fidelity bonds, which is a type of insurance that protects customers from losses due to fraud, dishonesty, or illegal actions. Counselor O'Neill is well-loved not only in Ward 2, but throughout the city because she's taken the time to listen to constituents' needs and respond with answers and solutions in a timely fashion. This is the textbook definition of how the job should be done. The Code of Conduct is a piece of legislation that can be randomly weaponized against city opponents to silence their voices. So while the city is prosecuting Counselor O'Neill for doing her jobs, residents are waiting for the city to take action against counselors that have violated residents' First Amendment rights to speech during public meetings. Or maybe this is just a witch hunt to punish Tracy for taking opposing positions on various pieces of legislation. Bottom line, the Fidelity Bond insurance coverage protects the city and residents from elected officials' improprieties. Therefore, it seems that the Code of Conduct is overreaching, not needed, and should be rescinded. Counselor O'Neill is honorable and has served her constituents with distinction. She takes pride in her job, her city, and represents the gold standard that other counselors should emulate. The charges against the counselor should not only be dropped, but the city should offer a full public apology for soiling her reputation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and address.
Yes, my name is Jeff Brown. I live at 145 Essex Ave. And I just wanted to come here and commend Tracy O'Neill for the work that she has done. The first time I met her was at her neighborhood meeting at the fraternity club on Webster Street regarding the MBTA zoning amendment issues. And I just thought that was extraordinary. She took a very complex subject, realized that the public really needed to have more information. And she made that effort, put on the presentation, all factual. We had to screen everything, all the text pertaining to the subject matter was readily present. And I think that was very, very helpful. So thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Introduce yourself and your address. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Absolutely. My name is Glenn Bresnahan. I live at 512 Essex Ave. We moved. A couple of observations, if I may. On behalf of Tracy, I want to thank her personally because of the entire council and the mayor's office. She was the only one that took the MBTA Overlook program and explained it in plain terms. To this day, Mayor Verga still has not addressed the citizens of Gloucester as to the effect that this could have on our city. And the effects could be devastating if it's not managed properly. I'd like to share, if I may, a couple of observations. I'm not a stranger to this floor. I've been in this hall many times over the years. I've been a resident of Gloucester for just under 30 years, which doesn't make me, a real resident of Gloucester. You have to be born here to do that. I get that. But over the years, I've been on a couple of different sides, some winning, some losing, but always had a fair shot at explaining my side of view. A few years ago, we had an issue on Essex Ave for the combined sewer for Essex. And at the time during the discussions, a sitting councilor recused herself, stood in front of this podium and addressed the council on behalf of her husband on how the project should be combined, which would have a net effect of lowering her financial impact by $5,000. Now, nobody took that as an ethical issue. It should have been. When I brought it to the ethics board in Boston, they said it was a nothing burger. There was nothing there. What Tracy did was to support her constituents. And I think it's shameful that she's being brought up on these allegations, and Jamie as well. They're trying to help the people of Gloucester, and to me, that's tremendously important. And if I could, just one observation as a resident, I consider the city council as the leadership of Gloucester. And it saddens me to see bickering and bullying going on when you should be the leaders of this city and take charge and set the tone for everyone else. I wish you'd consider that before you speak. Some of the time, it almost seems like a barroom brawl when I watch it on Zoom, or I sit here and take a look at how people are singled out and called out because they have a differing view. These people were duly elected, as were you, and they deserve the same treatment that everyone on that board does. Thank you so much.
Name and address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Jane Fox, 14 Becker Circle. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Over the years, I attended city meetings via Zoom and in person. This is an election year, a new beginning, and hope for resolutions. I would like to thank the council for their services. It is not an easy job, especially during challenging times. I would like to share my thoughts to improve oral communications and to encourage productive meetings. 1, citizens are allotted 3 minutes to speak at oral communications. Please use a timer with appropriate sounds that indicate an elapsed time of 3 minutes and then 3 minutes and 15 seconds respectively. This alerts the speaker that he or she needs to wrap it up and then stop without being interrupted. Verbal shout-outs are disruptive and disrespectful, causing speakers to lose concentration and feel that their voices are not heard. 2, the council is elected by the city of Gloucester. It would be advantageous for council to set aside differences of opinions and work harmoniously together. This would allow this city to prosper for the good of the community. To achieve this goal, the council must remember that your priority is to work for the citizens and not the mayor. Your allegiance should be to the voters, residents, and taxpayers of Gloucester. Over the years, I have observed a clear-cut divide among council members. In Zoom meetings, facial expressions and body language are noticeable. In my opinion, there are many times when they are unprofessional and reprehensible. I have witnessed numerous verbal interruptions, group dissensions, and even temper tantrum, resulting in a councilor leaving the premises and ending participation in a subcommittee meeting. It is a disgrace that councilors Worthy, O'Hara, and O'Neill are ostracized when they do not agree with the majority. I urge the council to stop these accusations and political tactics. Please respect the fact that it is their obligation to vote on behalf of the ward they were elected to represent and to help their constituents when necessary. Each ward councilor must focus on the priorities of the ward they represent and vote accordingly. Therefore, each councilor should represent the differences of opinions are not personal and refrain from becoming defensive, even going as far as to retaliate when one does not side with your point of view. Again, it would be far more beneficial for you to set aside your personal differences and work harmoniously together for this city and in the interest of its citizens. This may not be the same as the interests of its mayor, but that should not be your priority. It would be advantageous for seasoned counselors to mentor others by sharing their wisdom. But I don't like that. This common practice would enable newly elected counselors to become more knowledgeable and gain the necessary skills to grow in the position they serve. It also would strengthen your interpersonal and professional bonds. The key to work towards the greater good of this city. In closing, I encourage you to ponder over these words, reflect upon your past actions, apologize if needed, and move on. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Jane.
Jane.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more person, and then we will go to the people that are dialing in remotely. Name and address.
Beverly Palmacci, 8 Commonwealth Avenue. I want to pick up on what Tracy said regarding what the mayor and Jill Cahill and the solicitor told her regarding holding board meetings. And I'd like to hear back from the mayor what he did say, if that was what he told her, and if it was, why he would have told her that. And I believe whatever we say here, the mayor must respond to. Is that correct?
Within 2 weeks.
Okay,
Yes.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beverly. Okay, we're going to go to the folks that are dialing in remotely, and we see 3 people. Madam Clerk, if you would bring someone in, that would be great.
So, hello, I believe it's my turn. I'm Peter Johnson. I live at 33 Middle Street. And I just want to bring attention to the proposed development on 20 Main Street, which I assume the City Council is aware of. Again, I want to bring attention to that and how we feel as abutters to that proposed development. There's many issues, significant issues with that development for us that lives around that property. And one of the things I want to bring attention to is how we feel that we're being ignored and not being included in the process when it comes to the zoning board of appeals and their decision making. This has significant consequences for our properties around. It might destabilize our properties and our foundational houses. For us personally, it will end up looking straight into a brick wall. And we have noise and other issues that comes with this development. While the zoning board goes, the developer has to get people that support the development, but little is done to try to make sure that they get opposing views. And it's difficult with the zoning board, like any kind of conflict they might have with what they're doing, and nothing of that is displayed or brought forward in any way. We don't really know. There's no information about them. They're appointed by the mayor, but we don't really know. They make significant decisions, or decision that's significant for people around them, for some large development, and still not everything is done to try to get the view of others. And some people might say, well, sorry for you, but this has to do with us. The thing is, like, these kind of situations might happen to anyone everywhere, especially in Ward 2. Rumors has it, if you're in some other wards, if you're a resident and you oppose something, you'll get heard, but everything seems to be like thrown into Ward 2 with development. And really our people that live in that ward doesn't really get heard much. There are several issues with this beyond what happens to abutters, and as traffic, all traffic is going to come down School Street. We have the fire station there, which already during the high season complain about reduced time to get out of there.
10 seconds.
And I will ask the city council when this come up for them, two things. First of all, I would ask them to not approve of the permit as proposed, or the project as proposed when they approve the permit, and also to require that traffic assessment
Peter,
is done.
could you wrap up in 5 seconds? Thank you.
So
Thank you so much. Okay, who's next? Good evening, Pamela. Could you introduce yourself, state your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak to us.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Hi, my name is Pam Steele, 10 Pilots Hill. I've been listening to meetings since 2018, and I got on because of the ridiculous permitting of 116 East Main Street. And I kept thinking, oh, I'll do that, and then I'll hang up. I won't be bothering myself with all this. The reason I've stayed on is because I find the behavior intolerable. And I keep thinking if someone will only bring it up and we can clear the air and understand that residents are listening, we're not fools, we see the bullying. I am so heartbroken what's happened to Tracy. She has put her heart and soul into this community. She doesn't have a hidden agenda. Jeff does his homework and makes you all look ridiculous. He studies the issue and he'll go out and he'll learn. And it's just intolerable. I was in high school in 1964. I took civics. You are not the mayor. You are for the citizens, and you need to stand up for the citizens, as Tracy and Jamie and Jeff do. And I guess I'll be doing this till the day I die because I want it resolved and I won't give up. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay, next is CR. Would you introduce yourself? You have 3 minutes to talk to the council.
Hi, this is Catherine Ryan at 17 High Rock. I received a response from Mayor Verga that stated he didn't need to respond because I read a prepared statement that was about school enrollment. I didn't read a prepared statement that night. Is that a new rule? And it wasn't about school enrollment as a topic, but a symptom of leadership. Last I checked, the mayor is a leadership position. I mentioned Gloucester School District plummeting academic achievement, attendance, and enrollment as a symptom of the social class prejudice expressed by members of the leadership and their conflicts of interest. I've pointed out several reprehensible examples as far back as 2 years before George Floyd and as recently as this September. Last week, one of the counselors angrily blamed another counselor for the counselor having quote unquote run off the reservation. So much for the city's Human Rights Commission. Mayor Verga, school committee members past and present, certain city council members, do you condone these comments? Because to a one, none of you have stepped forward in public to call them out. And as to enrollment, attendance, and achievement, well, the experts helming the district are failing, and there needs to be a firewall between the school district and Geff Foundation and other partners. At the last city council meeting, councilors stated how the school committee budget process is the channel to address the school budget. One stated it starts as early as February. Of course, it's ongoing. What wasn't said was that the school budget is discussed in subcommittee meetings and public comments are not taken. For big items like school building project, the budget is covered by a working group that is not bound by the same open meeting law. City council comes before the public endorsing resolutions regularly in support of the library, in support of Geff, in support of Open Door, in support of GMGI, etc. Some of these endeavors cross over proper budget channels, yet resolutions are brought. Why would a city council lecture or discourage paras from speaking at city council about how fruitless their appeals are? Gloucester School District is not another country, and no matter how much city council members, your administration, or the school committee like to feign how they're buttoned up by protocol to stay in their own lane, and there's some third rail if ever they were to cross over, it's preposterous. There are examples in every city council and school committee meeting with crossover appeals and resolutions, and the mayor has a voting seat on the school committee. There's been a cyclone of school building consolidation studies and phases. Mayor Verga, experts do not conclude that consolidating elementary schools is best practice that it increases cost savings or student well-being and achievement. Why is city's leadership pursuing this despite a decade of disastrous results? Mayor
seconds.
Verga, press announcements of ARPA funds indicate 16 million to date has been spent. Parking study, signage, sewer, housing trust. What are the line items for the remaining ARPA funds? Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. We have another. Lucy, would
Yep.
you introduce yourself and your address, and you have 3 minutes to talk to the council.
All right, I'm Lucy Gillard. I'm at 22 Eastern Point Boulevard in Gloucester, and I just wanted to say that Tracy O'Neill, who I've known very closely for the last 8+ years, I just need to say, you know, Tracy is an incredible fighter for Gloucester and for our people in need in this city, even if they're not in her ward. That's what this city needs: less ego and more action. As for fighting by the rules, I've seen firsthand Tracy focus on understanding the rules, working for hours to ensure she understands those rules almost to a fault, because she needs to make sure that she's in line. It's important to her. Tracy cares deeply about every aspect of Gloucester. I admire Tracy for her love of the city, for her efforts to keep all of Gloucester's take care of all of Gloucester's constituents, and her high ethical standards. Thank you, Tracy, for your hard work.
Thank you, Lucy.
We have Sylvie. Sylvie, would you introduce yourself and your address? You have 3 minutes to talk to the council. Thank you for being here. Lucy, you can take your hand down, and Sylvie. Okay, so your hand is raised. Can you unmute yourself? You currently are muted. Okay, now you're not. Introduce yourself and your address, and you have 3 minutes to talk to us.
So my name is Sylvie Corey, 28 Pine Street. I would like to say that according my opinion, Tracy is one of the most ethical and truthful people I know. And what she has done is she has been educating her constituents and letting us know what was going on and what has been going on with the city, which the mayor was not able to do. So Tracy has been standing up against the hidden and sometimes obvious corruption. And I believe that's why she was unfavored and also bullied and unreasonably blamed. So I give my support to Tracy, also James O'Hara, and I do appreciate the hard work, and I hope that this can be positively resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie.
I don't see any more hands raised. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Next order is the consent agenda.
Councilors, would anyone like to take a matter off the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to move the consent agenda? Motion is made by Councilor Memard, seconded by Councilor Worthley. Roll call vote. Is Councilor O'Hara is online. Councilor Gilman, yes. Councilor Gross.
Yes.
Councilor Grow.
Yes.
Councilor Majota.
Yes.
Councilor Memard.
Yes.
Councilor Nolan is absent. Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Councilor O'Neill.
I have to apologize. I have a question. This says approval of minutes from the previous city council and standing committee meetings. Does that mean last week's, September 26th?
Yes.
I have not read those meetings, so I have those minutes because they weren't posted yet.
They've been in the packet since Friday morning at Thursday
Okay.
night.
Well, I have to
So-
say no, sorry.
Okay. One no. Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it. 7 in favor, 1 absent, and 1 no.
Looked online for them. I didn't
Thank
look.
you. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of October 5th.
I'm going to ask the Vice Chair of BNF, Tony Gross, to lead this. So, Tony, you have the floor.
So we have several items on here. And if it pleases the council, I'd like to move that we take this as a consent agenda.
Hey, councilors, would anyone like to remove any one of the matters that are on up for review to have further discussion?
It just was not sure.
Council Grow, do you want to just read what's on the minutes for that or on the agenda just very quickly?
On the agenda is we have a memorandum from the Sustainability Coordinator requesting acceptance of a Mass Save Community First Partnership continued funding in the amount of up to $80,000. We have a memorandum from Assistant DPW Director requesting to pay fiscal year 23 invoices with fiscal year 24 funds. We also have a memorandum from the DPW Director requesting acceptance of a preliminary planning and design wastewater treatment plant upgrades grant in the amount of $176,000. A memorandum from the Police Chief requesting acceptance of a fiscal year 24 state 911 EMD grant in the amount of $38,223.06. Memorandum from the Police Chief, acceptance of a fiscal year 24 state 911 support and initiative grant in the amount of $100,983. Memorandum from the Fire Chief regarding a multi-year contract for heart monitors for the ambulances, not multi-year contract for any personnel. It's for pieces of equipment. And a memorandum from the Veteran Services Director requesting acceptance of donations in the amount of $500.
Thank you, councilors. So anyone want to remove any of those for further discussion?
No, but excuse me, but I think you said on memorandum number 5, you said $100,983.
100,000, 2,983. 102.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to remove any of those for further discussion? Seeing none. Unanimous consent agenda. Roll call vote to approve the unanimous consent agenda as noted. Is there someone want to move it?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Council Memard and seconded by Councilor.
So like they called her out.
Roll call vote.
Like, I don't understand.
Council Gilman, yes. Council
Public
Gross?
hearing.
Yes.
Council Grow?
Yes.
Council Majota?
Yes.
Council Memard?
Yes, and thank you, Tony, for chairing the meeting.
Council Nolan is absent. Councilor O'Hara?
Yes.
Council O'Neill?
Yes.
Council Worthley?
Yes.
Yes, let's have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is the Ordinance and Administration Standing Committee report of October 2nd.
Okay, Council Nolan is not here. Council O'Hara, are you prepared to lead us through that?
Yes.
Okay, you have the floor.
Okay. We have a memorandum from the Sustainability Coordinator requesting acceptance of Mass Save Community First Partnership continued funding.
Council,
amount
I think that is BNF. We are at
That's
the
correct.
bottom of page 3 of our template, 3 of 7, under Ordinance and Administration, October 2nd.
I'm sorry. There we go. CC 2023-048, Nolan O'Hara petition the state to lower the speed limit on Woodman Street from 30 miles an hour to 15 miles an hour. Committee recommendation on a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. The ordinance administration subcommittee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the city council forward a letter to Mass DOT requesting that the speed limit on Woodman Street be reduced to 15 miles an hour, and that such letter be accompanied by the speed study and certificate of vote by the city council, and I so move.
Second.
Councilor O'Hara moved the motion and Councilor Worthley seconded. Is there a discussion, or Councilor O'Hara, do you want to do the narrative for that?
Woodman is a narrow wood, hence the name Woodman. It's very much wooded, curvy street, narrow with no sidewalks. And the speed limit being 30 has been a concern of neighbors on Woodman. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilors, is there further discussion on this motion?
Good question.
Council Grow.
It says here that, yeah, such letter be accompanied by the speed study and the certificate of vote. Have we done a speed study? Has that been done? It has been, okay.
Any further discussion, councilors? Seeing none, roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross.
Yes.
Council Grow.
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Council O'Hara.
CC 20-23-049 Majota petition to the state to lower the speed limit on Emerson Ave from 30 to 15 miles an hour. On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara, the ordinance administration subcommittee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the city council forward a letter to Mass DOT requesting that the speed study on Emerson Ave, or the speed limit, the speed limit on Emerson Ave be reduced to 15 miles an hour, and that such letter be accompanied by the speed study and a certificate of vote by the city council, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Worthley. Is there a further narrative, Council O'Hara?
Actually, if Councilor Majota would like to explain, seeing he brought this forward and he is intimately knowledgeable on Emerson, I think that would be favorable.
Council Majota.
Thank you, Council O'Hara. Yes, this came up to me a while back ago where I was talking to the neighbors on Emerson Ave. There is cars have a tendency to speed down that road. There's lots of businesses there and pathways. There's children walking on the sidewalks, and just for the safety for the children and those who are walking, to lower the speed limit would be very helpful. Unfortunately, a car hit a dog about 2 months ago. So this is another reason why I want to lower the speed limit. There's lots of trucks and trailers that go through that street. I think just slowing them down, having a speed limit sign post 50 miles an hour will just increase the safety of the neighborhood, and all the neighbors are on board on this.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross.
Yes.
Council Grow.
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business. Let me see, number 5. I think we have another.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 3.
Council O'Hara.
Number 3, CC 20-23-050 Worthley, amend City Council Rules of Procedure 2023, read oral communications. Committee recommendations on a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. The Ordinance Administration Subcommittee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the City Council amend the City Council Rules of Procedure 2023, Rule 2, Order of Business, Number 4, Oral Communications as follows. Oral Communications, deleting. The public shall have the opportunity at every regular city council meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Adding, the public shall have the opportunity at every regular scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not already scheduled for a public hearing at that meeting or already advertised for a future meeting. Oral communications shall allow any resident and/or Gloucester property owner and/or Gloucester business owner who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident and/or Gloucester property owner and/or Gloucester business owner must be notified in writing within a 2-week period of disposition of the same by the office of the mayor, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Residents or Gloucester property owners and/or Gloucester business owners speaking on the same topic at consecutive meetings under oral communications will not receive additional dispositions from the office of the mayor. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each and shall submit a copy of the prepared communications to the clerk of committees. And I so move.
Second. Motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Gilman. Is there a narrative, Council O'Hara?
Possibly if Councilor Worthy would like to expand on this.
Council Worthy, this was your order.
Yes, thank you. So this is a small proposed change which will give the public more opportunity to speak on more subjects that we can listen to. Right now, the rule is that if something is on the agenda, the public can't speak about it. But what that excludes is if there's something on the agenda that isn't open for public comment, they can't comment on it. So the example I used at committee level was I had submitted at the request of Senator Tarr, I submitted a resolution regarding the bottle bill. It hadn't been updated since 1984. And so I thought, and he thought the support of the council would help him in his efforts at the State House. And when you think about it, we discussed it briefly among ourselves. There was no opportunity for public input, but had someone come to the meeting in favor or against it during oral communications, they would not have been able to express that because it was on the agenda. So this rule was rooted originally in fairness. You wouldn't want someone to speak about something at 6 o'clock that's on the agenda for public hearing at, say, 7 o'clock, because you wouldn't have both sides of an issue represented. But by doing that, by saying nothing on the agenda can be raised at oral communications, we eliminate people's ability to speak about things that aren't going to be on the agenda for public hearing. So this is a way to expand that. If it's on the agenda for public hearing, you have to wait to the public hearing. If it's scheduled for a future public hearing, you have to wait to that point. But if it's on the agenda and there's no place for the people to speak, oral communication is the place to do it. That's what this change would do, and I'd like your support. Thank you.
Okay, discussion, councilors. Council Gross, sorry, I'm looking at Council Gross, and I just said the wrong name. Sorry, Councilor.
So Councilor Worthy, you talk about public hearings that are scheduled or that evening. Now, what about things that are on the consent agenda that are going to be on public hearings? How are we going to deal with that? Because that also gives a huge disadvantage. So I think this should go back to subcommittee to revisit what's on the consent agenda also, because those things would be fair game under your proposal, and to your logic, they shouldn't be. So I'd like to see this go back to O&A.
May I answer his question? Councilor Tillman?
Sure. I mean, I think we're all open to discussing this. It's a rule of procedure. So go ahead, Council Worthy.
Thank you. So your second half, which is send it back to committee, is a recommendation, but the first part, I'd like to answer the question. As written, if it's on the agenda for a scheduled public hearing for that night or already schedules a public hearing for a future meeting, then they would have to wait for those moments. If it's on the consent agenda, is that considered on our agenda at that moment? Then it's possible, if you're witty enough, if you could amend this to exclude that, I think your point is well made.
May I respond? You don't have to be witty enough.
Not witty is the right word.
Most people who are coming before, a lot of people who are coming before us public hearings have hired guns. So they don't need to be witty. They
I mean,
just.
for you, I mean,
no.
for you to be witty enough to be clever to say, how can we amend this now? So instead of going back to committee, that's what I meant to say.
I think it should go back to committee because that's where the sausage is made. So I'd like to make a motion that it goes back to committee.
Second.
Motion's made to go back to O&A. I think it was seconded by Council Grow. Discussion on that referral. Council Grow.
I'm a big fan of more input than less, but I agree that there's an opportunity, I think, here to somewhat game the system if you are witty and have an appropriate hired gun, as we are using the parlance of tonight. But I think that the intention, I understand the intention of what Councilor Worthley is doing, but I think that we also open ourselves up to allowing an unfair level of communication by people who may not have an immediate vested interest and may have opinions that come later on, but are already going to be behind the eight ball on that. I'd like to see some modification of this come out of O&A and have a little bit more rigorous discussion about when the open communication is allowed versus public hearing communication. I don't dispute the idea behind this.
Council Memard.
I agree with Councilor Grow. I appreciate Councilor Worley's effort to try and create a clearer level playing field for when people can speak and when they can't speak. But I think that's a loophole that probably needs to be addressed and should be done at the subcommittee level rather than here in full council.
Anyone else that hasn't spoken? May I speak then? 'Cause I haven't spoken.
I haven't
So-
spoken on this motion.
Oh, on
but-
this motion. Oh, then
That's
you
the
have the
motion.
floor. Your hand was raised.
Let me just clarify. When I said witty, I meant if we can be smart enough here to amend it without having to go to committee. I didn't mean to outwit the system or anything like that. Okay, just want to make sure that was clear. So I think the point that I'm hearing is we don't want to give people the chance. No, we want to avoid the chance of someone speaking when they should be heard later when there's opposites, there's opposing sides. And I think that is the main intention of this. So I have no objection to send it back to committee to review that in greater detail. But also, I just want to add, if there's other thoughts we haven't discussed here, someone can, if we can get that to the committee so that if this comes up in 2 or 4 weeks, if there's another suggestion, we can maybe address that before it gets back to full council. I think everyone is, what I'm hearing is saying we want the public to be heard. We just don't want to create unfair advantages at oral communications. I'm hearing that. Thank you.
My comment was just that, it's the will of the committee and I will certainly recommend that, support that. But my question to all of you is, would this be something that the new council, whomever that is, should take up in governance in the next term? That's just something that there could be all of our rules of procedure that should be looked at again. And we've done that recently in May, but I'm just wondering if that would be the better time. But if no one thinks that that's necessary, I'm happy to support bringing it right back to O&A. It's going to take, 30 days for this to come into effect? Oh, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not an ordinance. It's just a rule of procedure. So that's fine. So, so the motion is to bring this back to O&A. Council Grow.
I would just, I respect that. And initially, my feeling was that the new council ought to be the ones dealing with new procedural issues. We've got 4 meetings left after tonight. If we were to pass this at the next meeting, it would have a couple of meetings to try itself out, good or bad. And the new council can then, of course, take it up and under their governance meetings, either amend it and make it better or change it or get rid of it. So we're not really opening ourselves up to a huge sea change in the next month and a half. So I think we can all live with the consequences for that long.
Okay, sounds great. So we have, Council O'Neill.
I would just like to mention just a little bit of wordplay. It says by adding the public shall have the opportunity, et cetera. I would prefer that it says the public has the opportunity. So we have the opportunity because we have it, not because the city council gave it to us. And where it starts in black, oral communications shall allow any resident. I would like to cross that out and start with the word any resident and or Gloucester property owner, business owner who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business can appear before the council. It's just a little bit of play on words. I think it's important to realize that we have, the citizens have the power. The city council didn't give it to them. That's the
Any
way I feel. That's all.
addresses?
Okay, I think right now we should stick
We're
with.
getting off the motion.
We should stick to the motion
Okay,
right now, and the
just
motion is to bring
something
this
for
back
O&A
to
to
O
ponder.
and A. And so we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. No further discussion on that motion, bring it back. Okay, so roll call vote, Gilman, yes. Gross,
Yes.
Grow,
Yes.
Council Majota,
Yes.
Council Memard,
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent, Council O'Hara,
Yes.
Council O'Neill,
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes, and thank you.
The motion passes 8 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you. Next order of business, Council O'Hara.
Number four, number 4CC 2023-051 Gilman, Amend City Council Rules of Procedure 2023, restart time of city council meetings. Committee recommendations on a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. The Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the city council amend the city council rule of procedure 2023, rule number 1, meetings, A, as follows. Rule 1, meetings, A, regular city council meetings beginning January of 2011 shall be held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month and shall begin at deleted 7 p.m., add 6:30 p.m. unless the city council votes otherwise. Delete. During the emergency order, the council voted to begin meetings at 6 p.m. Meetings will return to 7 p.m. when our regularly scheduled city council meetings return to in-person, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara, and I think I heard the second from Council Grow. Yes? Oh, was it Frank? I'm sorry. I'd like to give it to Frank. So Frank, you have the second. Is there? So I'm the one that came up with this motion. We had found that in the rules of procedure, we actually hadn't changed it to 6. And it was still at 7, although on the homepage of our city council website, which is the important one for the public, it was accurate. So we wanted to just correct that Scribner's error, which was in our rules of procedure, which we just updated in May 2023, and we missed that. But at O&A, I think Councilor Majota suggested that 6:30 was easier for people that work all day. And we agreed that that was something that we wanted to amend, at least out of O&A, that was agreed to. So that's what is on the floor right now. I do think that we might want to consider delaying the effect date for this for at least a month, only because I want everyone in the public to know of the new date. We need to do a good job, just the new time. I don't want people to think that the meeting's at 6, and in fact, it is at 6:30. So I was thinking maybe we'd either want to start this new 6:30 time effective in the new council, possibly, just to give the public adequate time. So I guess as a result of that, I would say that I would like to amend the motion by adding, and this is to be effective, in this time change is to be effective on January 1st, 2024, sorry, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, so the there's an amendment to the main motion. It was made by me, and it was seconded by Council Worthy, I think. Okay. Is there a discussion on the amendment to the main motion? Council Worthy.
Just briefly, so I think that makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is, as of October 10th, 2023, we're making a motion that says as of January 2011, which I understand it wasn't corrected when it should have been. But does that, how are we changing council meeting dates that don't start till January of 2024 and have January 2011 as the date in here? So I would suggest that we are, from this point forward, changing it to 6 o'clock. As far as
I
correcting a
was
scrivener's
bothered
error,
by that too. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem. Do you want to make a friendly?
Well,
Oh,
Joanne
go
has her
ahead.
hand up.
I
I
should
did-
ask the city clerk. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, could I just explain the 2011? Before that time, it was every 2 weeks. So it wasn't like the second and the fourth, it's whatever it fell on every 2 weeks. Then the city council decided, starting January of 2011, to designate the second and the fourth week as city council meetings instead of every 2 weeks. So that's why it's in the council rules of procedure.
right, and I appreciate the correction of that. What I'm suggesting is it already happened, right? And it was a mistake that it wasn't addressed then.
Mhm.
I don't know that we can't change the Declaration of Independence happened on the 5th of July, not the 4th of July. I don't know. We just can't change the date retroactively. It is what it is, and it is what it was. And here we are today going forward saying 2nd and 4th and whatever time we pick.
Or you can just amend it, take that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay.
Okay.
So we don't even need an
So,
amendment then.
do you want me to make a, let me draw my amendment, and I would like to delete beginning on January of 2011 and add effective on January 1st, 2024, and I so move.
Second.
Moved by Gilman, seconded by Worthley. Further discussion, councilors? Seeing none on the.
Just for clarification.
Yep.
You're not withdrawing your whole amendment. You
No,
still want the
just on-
6:30 and, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Just make
Just
sure
on
it's
the
clear.
main motion, so on the amendment. Thank you. So we're clear on the amendment to the main motion. So Gilman, yes. Gross,
Yes.
Council Grow,
Sure.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council Nolan's absent. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthy.
Yes.
The yeses have it on the amendment, to the main motion, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Now on the main motion. Is there a motion to move the main motion? Oh, no, we've
Let's
already
go to a
moved it.
vote.
I'm sorry. So we're ready to
Discussion and
further
vote.
discussion on the main motion with the amendment included. Seeing none.
Do we have a summary for the public that might not have caught our changes? Just a summary of what we're voting on right now. I can give the summary if you'd like.
I am happy to do that summary if you wish. So the motion now reads that regular city council meetings effective on January 1st, 2024 shall be held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month and shall begin at 6:30 PM unless the city council votes otherwise. Okay, I think that's clear. And I like the fact that we're going to push it out because we don't want to confuse people. It's too, and people have an expectation.
we can update the website.
So is there the roll call vote? Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross?
Yes.
Council Grow?
Yes.
Council Majota?
Yes.
Memard?
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara?
Yes.
Council O'Neill?
Yes.
Council Worthley?
Yes.
The yeses have it, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business.
Is the Planning and Development Standing Committee report of October 4th.
I just
Council
have one.
Grow?
We have no items for action. However, we have been continuing an informal review request on the Condon Road, or the oversight of the overlay district for a what's it called?
Transfer
Thank you,
station.
transfer station. We will not be taking that up at the next Wednesday meeting because we have no other items. That will be moved forward until the first meeting in November, November 8th.
Would you like to announce Community Safety Day?
Yeah. Community Safety Day has been moved to October 14th. That was our date. That was moved because of weather, and it is October 14th, I believe. And that is, I don't remember the times, but it's Harbor Loop, and it's pretty much all day.
Thank you.
I think I'd be prepared for that, right?
That was the reason we met that day. Good job. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is the first scheduled public hearing 2023-047, Special City Council Permit 2023-007, Eastern Avenue, number 210, map 264, lot 23, Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 1.8.6, lapse of special permit to request finding of good cause that special city council permit 2015-002 granted pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance, section 2.34, subsection 6, business uses, and section 2.34, parentheses 7, subsection 7, animal boarding kennel, 24-hour operations at map 264, lot 23 has not lapsed.
Thank you. I'd like to open the public hearing and ask the applicant to introduce yourself and tell us about this request.
Certainly. Good evening. My name is Bill Heaney. I'm an attorney in Beverly. My office is located at 86 Dodge Street. I represent the Turner Farm Realty Trust tonight. Ryan Flynn is the trustee of the trust. She's here tonight. With Ryan, I have Stan Poole and John Poole. Stan and John both have historical and institutional knowledge about the property. So if you have any questions, they're here to answer those questions. I'm going to be, I think, extremely brief. We provided you ample information in our application and here to answer your questions. I'd just like to set it up for you a little bit with a little background. The locus is 210 Eastern Avenue. It is located in the GI, or the General Industrial Zone, here in Gloucester. It's a standalone structure with one single tenant. Presently, the tenant is Boston Pup LLC. In the past, the tenant was Paws at Play. Many of you may be familiar with that business. In May of 2015, represented by Ralph Pino, my client applied for a special permit and a variance with the city of Gloucester to modify the building and to get a special permit to operate kenneling facilities 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The application did contemplate building a 28 by 70 addition that was specifically built for boarding and kenneling. That addition has no windows. It has extra soundproofing. There is heating and ventilation system that was designed to control the temperature and the air quality in that structure. That system has since been updated, most recently, I believe, in 2022 by Mr. Poole. In November of 2015, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted the necessary variances for the building. It was then brought before this council for review of your city ordinances 1.5.5, 1.83, 5.75, and most importantly, 2.3.4.7 and 2.3.4.6, which are the special permitting granting authority for you to allow overnight dog kenneling. I believe, and I was not here, but I have been told that there was a very good public hearing that night. There was some 525 signatures in support. There was 25 people here in support. It did receive 8 votes in favor, no votes again, and 1 member did not vote that night. That business that was contemplated at the time is what's contemplated here today, or actually still is existing or hoping to exist today. What happened to Paws at Play is a bit of a sad story. Many of you may already know it. The owner of it, Mr. Joubert, was also the president and owner of Paws at Play. He passed away in March 2021. Due to the probate process, and we all know we had a pandemic going with COVID, reletting the property took a little longer than expected. My client did advertise it in June of 2021 on the MLS, trying to find a new tenant to operate the exact same business. it was maintained in turnkey condition, meaning anybody could step in and operate that business with the proper local permitting or the local licenses, as well as the lease. It did take 28 months to locate that new tenant. My client is very happy with the tenant that she's found. She feels like they're going to run a very respectful, good business for the city of Gloucester. When Boston Pup did go in to get their local licensing, Mr. Belanger at the building department was very aptly and correct of him to point out that it has been 28 months since it was operated, and by the Gloucester Ordinance 1.8.6, if a special permit is discontinued for 2 years, it lapses. The one exception to that rule is also in 1.8.6, which states that except for good cause found by the special permit granting authority, it does not have to lapse. So, and this board is the special permit granting authority. So this board has the power to find that it did not lapse for good cause. Our position is really pretty simple. We really don't feel like the special permit or the use lapsed. It was trying to find a new tenant during a very, very tough time. Turner Farm Realty Trust kept it up, open, ready to operate as soon as they had a person. If it is found to have been discontinued, we do feel that it's a pretty practical approach, and I've seen this board act in a very practical fashion tonight, that it was good cause. Mr. Joubert's passing, subsequent probate, all, good reasons for delaying, as well as the COVID pandemic that slowed all businesses and processes going forward. So I think it's a relatively straightforward decision or a presentation from us tonight. This is a business that I think the city of Gloucester needs, and you guys have already been down the path of vetting it out back in 2015. We're just looking for the finding that it did not lapse due to good cause and that the special permit is still intact.
Thank you.
And my clients are here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? So let me ask, is there anyone here in either favor or opposition, or someone on that is dialed in remotely? Want to bring the person in? So you have up to 3 minutes to tell us. Oh. Okay, so who is this person? Julianne McKinney? Okay. Julianne, are you on the call in support or in opposition? Julianne, would you kindly unmute yourself and introduce yourself in your address, and then let us know if you're in opposition or in support. Julianne McKinney, would you unmute yourself? Is she calling in on a phone? If you're calling on a phone, hit *9. Julianne McKinney, we'd love to hear from you. And if you're calling in a phone, if you hit *9, the asterisk 9, you should be able to get on our call. Right now, you are muted. We need to unmute you. You need to unmute yourself. If you're dialing in via computer, you can unmute yourself on your panel. Julianne McKinney, we'd love to hear from you. You are muted and you need to unmute yourself. If you can hear me, would you kindly hit *9 to unmute yourself? So it looks like you're calling in on a cell phone.
Madam Chair. Is it possible to promote her to a panelist to give her the opportunity to be heard?
Vote for panelists should be on the screen and should be able to speak, but then after I'll have to remove her. She won't be able to get back in the meeting. I would have to keep her in a panelist until this
She could,
matter's over.
but she could dial in
Yeah,
again.
she can.
Julianne, we are going to bring you in as a panelist. And then after you finish speaking, we're going to ask that you hang up and redial in if you want to continue hearing our meeting. So be patient. Madam Clerk is going to bring you in as a panelist.
She declined to be promoted to a panelist. So I don't know why she has her hand up.
She declined?
When I
Okay.
promoted it,
Okay.
the message
So is there
came up.
anyone else that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Seeing none? Madam Clerk, is there any communications?
There are no communications on this matter.
Okay, counselors, do you have any questions?
I have a question on our process, not regarding your application. Is there any concern or liability to the city if our Zoom technology didn't allow someone to speak in favor or against? And this is sort of new territory. I don't think we've had a public hearing where we have had that issue. I just wouldn't want to create some undue, we have to redo something because someone wasn't heard. I just want to make sure, unless someone here knows the answer to that, we haven't really had a problem with people not being able to get into public hearings. So I just want to raise the question so we don't create other issues.
She is on as an attendee and she's allowed to talk, to speak, but she's not unmuting herself. So I brought her over to allow her to speak. She declined as a panelist, but she is still on the call as an attendee to allow her to speak. I haven't removed that permission yet.
If you had her, if she was in a panelist, you could unmute her, couldn't you, from this perspective? No?
Pardon me? No.
Okay.
You still have to, you have to allow people to unmute yourself even as a panelist, so. So I would say, let me just ask Madam Clerk, okay, if for some reason this person wanted to speak in opposition and we did an affirmative vote tonight, then we could reconsider this tomorrow if that is what we would need to do. I mean, that would be to answer Council Worthley's question. That would be the fair way to go. If for some reason she wanted to speak, if she was speaking in opposition, she's allowed to speak up to 15 minutes. So in fairness, I would just ask, this dropped out, she just dropped out. Okay, so we know who she is. Maybe we can try to reach her just to make sure, in fairness, in response to Council Worthley. But I think we should move forward because we've given her an opportunity. Do you not agree with that?
She may not want to be approached, yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't,
Does everyone agree with
could be
that?
harassment.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, that's fine with me. I'm just trying to be fair. So,
Yeah.
sounds fine. So no more questions. So I'd like to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report from Counselor P&D Chair, Counselor Grow.
Yes. On a motion of Council Grow, seconded by Councilor Gilman, Planning and Development voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend the City Council finds pursuant to section 1.8.6 that good cause exists. The special council permit 2015-002 granted pursuant to section 2.3.4, subparts 6, animal daycare and animal grooming daytime only, and 7, animal boarding kennel 24-hour operations for Eastern Avenue number 210, map 264, lot number 23, has not lapsed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Counselor Grow, seconded by Counselor O'Neill. Is there a narrative, Counselor Grow?
Yeah, we, as Attorney Haney had indicated, he gave us fairly detailed information on the history of the permit and also the conditions of what happened subsequent to the passing of the owner of that original business. it's clear under 1.8.6 that there is good cause, sorry, there's not good cause. There is no good cause to the permit should be in effect. I'm sorry, I'm not being very clear. You know, between COVID, between the death of the owner, between the fact that it's only been 4 months since it's lapsed, I don't think we're in the business of putting people out of business. Making them go through the special permit process again would be unnecessarily expensive and time consuming and could jeopardize the ability of the business to continue moving forward. So I think we do what is decent and we continue to respect this permit and move forward. So I'll be supporting it.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion, counselors?
Yes. Just
Counselor
full
O'Neill?
disclosure, I rent from Turner Realty Farms, Turner Farm Realty. And my gym is next door to the kennel in question, and I have watched them upgrade the property for the whole time that that they have not rented it. It's always been open. People have been coming and going. And I just want to let people know that I do rent from them and I receive no extra added benefit by voting. So I will be voting for this. I get no, I have no conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Memard?
I just wanted to add that this facility is in my ward, in Ward 1 on Eastern Avenue. It's an important service to the community. I don't believe that based on the location, as we all know it, that it's going to impact any residential neighbors in an adverse manner. The way it's been described as being maintained and built out seems like it's a very appropriate thing for us to go ahead and allow this inadvertently lapsed permit to be reinstated. And I think that's entirely the right thing for us and for the city of Gloucester, as well as for dog owners and people operating this business. So yes, I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. Counselor Worthy?
Yes, I'll be supporting it as well. I think this says a lot about whoever put in the ordinance book many, many years ago to allow for an exception for this sort of scenario. This is what happens. What's the phrase? Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans, right? You have a death in the family, you have COVID, and you have an operating business. As Councilor Groh said, we are not in the business of putting people out of business. So best of luck to you, and sorry that you had to come to this level of hard work to get to this point, but I think it's deserved. Good luck.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Roll call vote. Val Gilman? Yes. Counselor Gross?
Yes.
Counselor Groh?
Yes.
Counselor Majota?
Yes.
Counselor Memard?
Yes.
Counselor Nolan is absent. Counselor O'Hara?
Yes.
O'Neill?
Yes.
Counselor Worthley?
Yes.
The yeses have it. 8 in favor.
Can I make a
One
motion to
absent.
reconsider?
It's made to reconsider.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Memard.
On the motion.
On the motion.
We typically are okay with that. I don't know if there's a time frame here, but we did just say 10 minutes ago that if someone wanted to speak who had their hand raised and didn't, then we could reconsider if we got some information that was valid. So
That person had ample opportunity to join the conversation and declined. So I'm of the opinion that we just need to move forward.
Can I just mention that she's back on the call, so it might not be for this matter, maybe it was for something else and she had it up by accident. Maybe that's why she declined, I don't know.
On the motion, further discussion on the motion before we vote to reconsider. Okay, reconsideration, I'm going to vote yes. Counselor Gross?
No.
Counselor Groh?
Nope.
No.
Counselor Majota?
No.
Counselor Memard?
No.
Counselor Neal? Is absent. Sorry, Counselor O'Hara.
No.
Neil? No. Counselor Worthley?
No.
Oh, okay. So the motion to reconsider fails. 1 in favor, 7 opposed, and 1 absent. Thank you so much. for all of you. You've been wonderful, and we really wish you lots of luck. Thank you.
Point of information, would it be valuable, again, to explain to the public what we just did or didn't do so that we, we voted in favor of giving the, come on, I'd just like to summarize that, unless you want to. The vote to reconsider, the not knowing, I don't know that everybody here knows what that means, and out of fairness, they probably would benefit from explanation.
We can always do a tutorial to let people know what's going on. So, sure, good, yeah. Do you want me to describe what I just said? So the whole purpose of reconsidering is that a person with an affirmative vote can change their mind within 24 hours. So at the end of the business day, the next day. And if they do that, then this goes to the next meeting to consider that vote. And they have to put that request in writing to the clerk's office. Is there anything that I missed?
By the end of the business day.
By the end of the business day. So in this case, Council Worthley threw out that I had said to that person that they could come the next day and we could reconsider it. And I was sensitive to that because I'm the one that made that comment. So that is why I changed my vote. But this is a democracy and 7 of you voted not to reconsider it. And I support that, the will of the committee.
Mentioned that
That was opposite.
it allows the applicant to proceed in a more timely manner. That's
Oh,
the
and
point.
that's the big
Yeah,
thing
that's
here.
why.
And Councilor Memard, that's.
They
that's-
waited long enough.
That is the big thing.
We're allowing them to proceed
So-
their
so
business.
Delays the whole
without waiting
process
30
if we
days.
don't do that. And that's why we don't want to have to do that if we don't have to, right?
I just think the confusion for me at least is that we voted no on reconsidering or yes on reconsidering.
We voted no to reconsider.
So we have
That's,
the option to reconsider tomorrow. if somebody-
no,
No, we
Oh.
don't.
Or Bob, why
If you,
not?
if you voted with me,
Right.
then we would have had
I'm
that.
sorry, that's how I
Okay.
intended to vote. then.
So.
That's why I
and
guess
that's why I looked at you surprising, because you're the one that made that.
I
thought for sure you would be
I would
the
have if I-
Minority, yes.
or smart
Um,
would have
Except
voted.
for
Okay, I think
you
we're
would
good.
not have had,
Hmm?
would not have gone to reconsider because
it
you were,
would still been
you
6
were
to
still
2.
in
It
the,
was still,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't have made a difference. So, you and me. it
I
wouldn't have made a
intended to
difference.
vote that way. Then I got
I know,
confused. I'm
but
sorry.
it's okay.
Thank you.
It's not a big deal, because it didn't win. So next order of business, Madam Clerk.
This public hearing 2023-048 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 5, Division 3, Section 22-218, Deposit of coin required overtime parking exemption subsection B by adding the language, quote, for any veteran bearing the distinctive number plates, end quote.
I would like to open the public hearing and note that our CAO is on the phone and also V. Chipinera? Chipperini, I'm sorry, I should know that better, who is the Cape Ann Veterans Director, so thank you. So our CAO, do you want to start and then we'll let V talk? So I've opened the public hearing and I'm looking for you to explain why this is important.
Why, thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to the members, and thank you, V, for being in person there tonight. The mayor just asked me to come on tonight. I know he went to the ONA meeting where this was brought up. This is something he's worked with Councilor Nolan on. It came to him actually at one of the veterans coffees that are held, hosted by V and her team over at the Veterans Center on Fridays. We hope everyone will join them. And there was a veteran there who brought up the example of that this was taking place in Salem. The mayor we've been looking into ways to do this for seniors and veterans and trying to make steps in this direction to allow free parking for veterans with distinctive plates. So that we did some digging and the opportunity arose for us to introduce this. So the administration very much supports this opportunity. I think the two things that are important to point out are that while it waives the fee for parking, time constraints, right? So if you're limited to 2-hour parking on Main Street, you are still with a veteran's plate. While you don't have to pay, you still are subject to the 2-hour limit. And then I guess the only other thing I think is important to say is that we have already heard from a few people that sometimes the expense of obtaining the plates is a challenge for veterans. So we're hoping this will get passed tonight, and we'll do a little more digging to see if we can help address some of those challenges as well. But we think this is a really important way to give back to those who served our country. And I'm sure V has a lot more to add. So thank you.
Thank you. V, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Good evening, council members. I did write something down just to make sure that I hit all my key points, but I will happily open up any questions that you guys may have for myself or for anyone within the veterans community, and I will be happy to answer as best as I can. So first, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to be here today, and thank you for your efforts in allowing us to present this matter to share the meaningful importance of this ordinance. Free parking for veterans is a small gesture of gratitude from the city of Gloucester, expressing our appreciation for the service and sacrifices of our military men and women. Earlier this past summer, the city of Salem announced an immediate change to their city ordinance, and today I stand before you representing our veteran community and military families and asking the same. Free parking for veterans in the city of Gloucester. A population that raises their right hand in oath, fully knowing and understanding the debt being paid to our nation, deserves, at a minimum, free parking within their own home base. Gloucester has always been a welcoming community that honors and respects those that have served our nation when our country has needed us the most. I fully support and stand behind a proposal to waive kiosk and parking meter fees for vehicles owned and driven by disabled veterans and veterans bearing distinguishing plates as listed in the Registry of Motor Vehicles guidelines. This includes, but is not limited to, veterans and military license plates bearing a branch of service emblem, military awards such as the Bronze Star and Purple Heart, and disabled veteran license plates. These are decorative license plates offered to veterans and range from $0 to $100 to purchase after required documentation has been verified. A few years ago, a local and very well-known veteran within our own community was issued a parking ticket. This individual not only had a handicap place card placard, but also a disabled veteran plate. And yet this 80-something-year-old individual was issued a $50 parking ticket. $50 to you and I may seem not that much, but $50 for someone that has laid their life for our country and is on a fixed income is a lot. This parking ticket was eventually waived, but not until this 80-something-year-old individual marched up to City Hall and fought yet another battle. I stand before you all and ask on behalf of our military and veteran community to change the parking meter ordinance and include free parking for veterans. I'd like to send a special thank you to Councilman Nolan for his efforts and Mayor Verga for pushing this agenda forward without zero hesitation. And to the council members that have unanimously fully supported in changing of this ordinance, thank you all. And if you guys have any questions, I will happily elaborate further.
Thank you, V. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Mark Nestor, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Mark Nest. I'm an attorney at 45 Middle Street, Gloucester, Massachusetts. I'm also the commander of the Captain Lester S. Wass American Legion Post number 3, and I stand here before you representing 185 Legionnaires and 61 Sons of American Legion Squadron 3. And I want to echo what Ms. Chipperini said. This is a very tangible example of the city of Gloucester expressing its thanks to the veterans and all they've done. I think it's fitting that this hearing take place within the shadow of Veterans Day. I think it's a very appropriate and a meaningful gesture that the veterans will appreciate, especially as they remember themselves and their fellow veterans on Veterans Day less than a month from now. And I want to thank the city for doing it. It may seem to be a small issue, but with the parking spaces and shortfalls that we have in the city of Gloucester, to enable veterans to be able to park, especially a lot of our senior veterans, without having to pay the parking fee is greatly appreciated. And I want to thank this city council and the mayor for all its efforts to bring this to fruition. It's well thought of and it's time well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else like to speak in favor or in opposition? Okay, Mary Ann Boucher, would you introduce yourself? And you have 3 minutes to talk to us about this particular public hearing matter.
I thank you, Mary Ann Boucher, 93 Mount Pleasant Avenue. I can think of nothing greater than to support all of our veterans. A few years ago, I fought to save, as you know, Mados Field in honor of a fallen veteran, and that didn't turn out in his favor. Although the children have a beautiful new school, I believe that we should always stand up and support all our veterans for their sacrifices for the freedoms of all of us, and especially what's going on right now. We're watching live on television what these people go through. At least we can do is give them a free parking space. I hope we do more, and I thank everyone who brought this forward. Thank you, V. We need to do more for our veterans on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor or in opposition? Seeing none, is there any communications, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Councilors, do we have any questions to ask either our CEO, Jill Cahill, or V?
I do have a question for V, I believe. This is long overdue, obviously, I'm going to support this. But you mentioned special license plates that the veterans would need to have. Aren't those expensive, like a vanity plate? And is there a way they're not? Okay.
There is a fee that is involved with some of them. Bronze Star, Silver Star, Purple Heart. There are some metal vanity plates that are of no charge, but there are some those that have the military emblem or the American flag. Things to those extents can range anywhere from $0 to $40. And in some cases, $100 for the purchasing of the flags. These are small logistical changes that we may consider in the future, but to at least get the process rolling for our service members, especially because Veterans Day is right around the corner. It would be a very small gesture to initiate this process and then work out the smaller kinks of maybe working with technology and maybe having some sort of registry system where we can get service members who can verify that they are a veteran but cannot afford the purchase of these vanity plates to have their actual license plates that are registered to their vehicle somehow processed into the system so that it would not necessarily ping if they are not in compliance with parking meters.
Maybe a sticker, like when you update your registration, you just get a sticker, or something like that. What,
Right. Yes, so that is something that I believe the city of Beverly or the town of Beverly is working on, the sticker process. I don't, I'm sure that we can come up with a couple different options that would be better suited for individuals who cannot afford some of these vanity plates. But again, it's just a small gesture to get the ball rolling.
It's a very small gesture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, V. Any further questions? Council Worthy?
Yes, oftentimes people ask questions when they're against something. I'm 100% in favor of this. I just have some questions for clarity. Obviously, thank the mayor and Ms. Cabrini, Mr. Nestor, not only for your service to the city, but to our country too. In the language of this, I read it and I heard you say this is to allow Gloucester veterans a chance to park for free. But are we changing the parking so any veteran in the country can park for free? Are we changing the ordinance so that Gloucester veterans park for free?
It would be any veteran that visits the town of Gloucester. So if you are visiting the town of Gloucester in the summer and you have a veteran license plate, you can waive or have the kiosk fee waived to you because of your license plate. So it is open to everyone, but solely in the town of Gloucester and any other communities that decide to pick up similar ordinances.
Where you represent Cape Ann veterans, Rockport Parks in Gloucester.
Correct.
park free, And it wouldn't be that, okay.
Right, so this would solely be in Gloucester where they are offered free parking. But if you are a visiting resident from Manchester, any surrounding communities, or anywhere within the United States, and you just happen to be visiting Gloucester, parking would be free to you so long as you have, for the time being, a vanity plate.
My second question is, does this include and can it include, and I guess we'll decide, should it include beach parking as well?
I would love that because we do have that request many times. Individuals in the summer months do call into the office and see if there's any additional discounts or free parking for service members. However, that I don't know what the procedures would be, if that's something that could be included in here or if that is a matter for another day. But this particular matter is for plates.
So that is not contemplated in this proposal.
No, this is solely for license
You answered
plates.
that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Memard.
Just following up on Councilor Worthley on the sort of technical aspects of the details. Is this something that our kiosk parking system will recognize? There'll be a question that'll be asked. We can program it so that it'll ask, are you a veteran? And if so, enter here and you get a free ticket. Or does it come down to the enforcement individual who are policing the parking spaces, recognizing the
To be honest, I'm not 100% certain. That would be a question for possibly Ryan Knowles or someone in the IT department that specializes in the kiosk and the parking enforcement. However, from what I understand, it is said to recognize the vanity plates first, and that is why in time, hopefully we can program some of these kiosks to recognize specific plates that do not have the vanity plates.
and it really, there are a lot of details involved in implementing something like this. But
A lot, but you have to start
this-
somewhere.
this is long overdue, and it's nice that the technology that we've laid ourselves into
Allows us to do this.
gets this option for us. Yes, absolutely. It's overdue.
Thank you.
Thank you, V. So our CAO has her hand raised. Jill Cahill, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to follow up on Counselor Memhard's question. So using the so we're using the cameras now to enforce the parking. At this time, it will be, as V said, it would just be recognizing the plates. So it would not be left at the discretion of the individual parking enforcement officers. But with this technology, and again, this is new, so we're learning it. We do know we have the ability to enter plates. With just plate numbers, and they'll have put them into certain categories. So we should be able to take that next step of, even if you don't have a vanity plate, but you're a veteran in our community, we can recognize their plates. So at this time, it'll just be recognizing the actual symbols on the plate. But through implementation, and again, as you guys have been patient and watched as we roll out this technology, we'd like to implement one step at a time and make sure we can do it right before we move too far. But at this time, it would just be the cameras recognizing the vanity plates.
Thank you. Go ahead, Council Memard.
Just a follow-up question regarding how this is communicated to people, both residents of Gloucester and visitors to Gloucester. Is it going to be on our city's website that veterans will have free parking privileges in the city?
We could certainly post it on the city's website. We would share it on social media. Veterans Day is coming, so that is a huge announcement that we can definitely make on Veterans Day during the City of Gloucester's Veterans Day observance ceremony. And Jill, if you have other ideas on how we could share it, we can definitely broadcast it.
Yeah, we'll work together with V and her team and Mark and the other veterans organizations. But I think it's communicating, it's going to be really difficult, and we need to be super clear on the distinction between the plate, the vanity plates, and just being a veteran. The last thing we want is for a veteran to get to misunderstand it, park, and end up with a ticket. So it's going to take a lot of communication, and as always, we encourage the city council to work with us on that, and we'll share information with all of you so we can help get it out to the constituencies.
Great. Thank you, Jill. Any further questions, councilors, before I close the public hearing? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report. Councilor O'Hara?
Yes, I'm sorry. On a motion, there are two there are two motions, one related to September 18th, ordinance administration, and October 2nd. This first one, ordinance administration voted on a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor Majota. The ordinance administration subcommittee voted. Roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend that the city council amend Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 5, Stopping, Standing, Parking, Division 3, Parking Meters and Parking Kiosks, Section 22-218, Deposit of Coins Required Overtime Parking Exemption as follows. Section 22-218, Deposit of Coin Required Overtime Parking Exemption. A, when a vehicle is parked in a parking space for which a parking meter and/or parking kiosk has been installed under this division, the driver shall, upon entering the parking space, immediately deposit in the meter or kiosk appropriate monetary amount as indicated by the instructions on the meter and/or parking kiosk. It shall be unlawful for any person to fail or neglect to pay such amount. Upon such payment, the parking space may then be used for such vehicle during the time prescribed in this division, according to the sum thus deposited. The vehicle shall be unlawfully parked if it shall remain in such space beyond the period of time which the driver shall have paid such amount in the meter or kiosk. It shall be unlawful for any person to cause any vehicle to be unlawfully parked as provided in this section. B, no parking meter or parking kiosk fee shall be exacted under subsection A of this section, nor shall any penalty be imposed for failure to pay such fees for the parking of any vehicle owned and driven by a disabled veteran, adding, or any vehicle bearing the distinctive number plates, or by a handicapped person and bearing the distinctive number plates authorized therefore by MGL C92, and I so move.
Second.
A motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Councilor Majota. Is there a narrative, Councilor O'Hara?
No, I think it's been pretty well discussed.
Okay, further discussion, councilors? Councilor Worthley and then Councilor O'Neill.
You want to suspend the rules to go back to questions? If your question informs. That's your decision.
I'm fine at this point.
Okay.
Let's have you and then Councilor O'Neill can ask her question.
Okay. Firstly, I think we should commend the mayor's office, and oftentimes over history, we don't have mayor's offices sort of proposing ordinance changes for the council, and I think this is a good move that he's done, and I love that this has been supported by the veterans organizations, our office, and Mark Messer. And like Councilor Memhard said, it's long overdue. It's literally the least we could do. So I'll certainly be supporting it, and maybe down the road we can consider some sort of discounted or free beach parking for veterans. I know this doesn't contemplate that, but that's something I think we should consider at some point. So great work, everybody.
Thank you. Councilor O'Neill.
Yes, on paragraph B, line 2, starts with imposed for failure to pay such fees for parking of any vehicle owned and driven by a disabled veteran. Did you mean to say disabled veteran or just veteran? Adding. Okay. All right, thank you.
It reads, any vehicle owned and driven by a disabled veteran or by a,
Any vehicle.
or any veteran. That was, I believe, a correction that was added the last time. Any veteran bearing the distinctive number plate. So it's a disabled veteran or anyone bearing the distinctive
Okay, thank you.
plates.
My mistake.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Councilor Gilman, yes. Councilor Gross,
Yes.
Council Grow,
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Before we go on to the next agenda, I'd just like to recognize our veteran in the front row of City Hall and to thank you for serving our country. Because I see you all the time at all the events and you always have your cap on, so thank you. Talking about veterans. Okay, next order of business, Madam Clerk. Oh, the second motion. I'm sorry.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
So this is ordinance administration from the October 2nd meeting. Motion to amend. On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara, the ordinance administration committee voted by roll call vote, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to amend the September 18, 2023 committee recommendation by deleting vehicles and adding veterans. And I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara. It was seconded by Council Majota. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Council Grow.
I'm being a little picky about this, but by changing vehicle to veteran, what we're saying is that we're saying driven by a disabled veteran or any veteran bearing the distinctive number plates. The veteran's not bearing anything. The vehicle is bearing the number plates. So I would say that we would like to change that to disabled veteran or any vehicle or by any veteran whose vehicle bears the distinctive number plates. Something like that. It's word salad.
Any veteran's vehicle.
No, I think we should buy any veteran driving a vehicle with the distinctive number plates. So if I could, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Does that sound okay? Okay,
Okay.
so make the motion to amend, Council Grow.
Still in discussion?
Well,
Because I think we're overdoing it.
If
It
you-
only needs
yeah.
to say, in all of the red, it only needs to say, or any veteran. Because at the end of the sentence, it says, and bearing the distinctive number plates authorized. I guess that's for handicap.
Fair enough.
No, but that's for handicapped persons, so, under MGL, so. Sorry, I take it back.
Okay. I'm just trying to use English. That's all. It's,
so
yeah.
do you want to make your motion? then?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just, we're
Let's
just.
listen closely because we want to make sure that we get this right. Go ahead.
We just changed, instead of amended vehicle, we'd say, or any veteran, or, I want to make sure I say it right now correctly. Vehicle owned and driven by disabled veteran, or by any veteran with a vehicle bearing the distinctive number plates.
Are we on paragraph B?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Driving a vehicle.
Well, it's driven is already in there.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay.
All right.
I'm happy to clean it up.
Get back to the discussion. So read the whole thing. There's any vehicle owned or driven by a disabled veteran. Let's add now.
What paragraph are you reading? Counselor?
B.
Okay.
B. Under section A of this section, nor shall, so the second sentence. Going in, any vehicle owned by a disabled veteran and any veteran or by a handicapped person bearing the distinctive number plates authorized by Mass General Law. Because now I see where you're talking about a disabled veteran. Now we're adding in just any veteran. So I think we have.
With the
vehi-
distinctive plate.
Right.
That's fine.
So I think we can just add in any veteran. Does that work?
Or any veteran vehicle? Is that what we're saying? Or any veteran's vehicle?
No.
No, or
It
any
says that at
veteran?
the end of the sentence. We're saying it twice in that
Okay,
sentence.
got it.
That's fair.
All right, so make the amendment one more time.
You go
Amendment to the
for it.
amendment?
No,
No,
I think she's asking us to clarify what we're trying to say here. I think we're just trying to clean up the language.
Okay.
Driven by a disabled veteran or any veteran or by a handicapped person. And well, that's
Or
redundant.
any veteran or by any handicapped person. Can be 2 ors. I mean, we're.
And
talking-
bearing the distinctive number plates
Right.
authorized.
Are you clear with that, Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can we stop for 1 second? Tony, if we do that, we got to make sure MGL's chapter 90, section 2 doesn't just apply to handicap lights.
Maybe we
Oh,
should.
how does it apply to disabled veterans? Because they're handicapped. Got it.
I understand, but we
Got
want
it.
to make
No,
sure,
I
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I thought it through.
This is any veteran, they don't have
Say
to be
that-
handicapped.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be supporting the amendment. I'm just a little bit worried that we're trying to be too fancy and we might get caught up in something that would prohibit us from putting this through right now, just to be a little bit more specific.
Sure, if, fine. I don't,
I'm just-
it's not correct.
Right.
Why don't you just take out the word disabled that precedes veteran on line 2, like I said?
That would be an easy way, but it may not fit the ordinance at this.
May not fit the law.
Yeah.
Let's see what.
I would
Mass
just
General
go
Law
back to what I said
90.2
before,
is.
which is to say, or any veteran driving a vehicle bearing the distinctive number plates. Even if it's redundant, it at least specifies what we're talking about and who we're talking about.
Are we comfortable with this?
No.
Let's see
No.
what Mass General Law
Okay.
0.2 is.
Um,
No, but
Right, and.
No, I
and the-
know, I know, I know.
And Jason,
Just-
the memorandum did come from legal, just to let you know, so. Go ahead, speak up.
Memorandum came from legal and, sorry, short here. And also, V was just saying that that language is in the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
I'm a Registry of
Then
Motor
I'll
Vehicles.
back off and withdraw my amendment.
Yeah,
That's
that,
fine.
that language is in the Registry of Motor Vehicles because she was going to read it. and
Fair
I-
enough. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay,
Withdrawn.
so we're good. So now we're back to the main motion.
But for the record, Mass General Law 90.2 just pertains to all vehicles.
Okay, so we're back to the main motion on October 2nd, 2023. Correct, everyone?
Fair enough.
Okay, so, and who made, so the motion was, who was it made by? Out of committee, Council O'Hara, and seconded by Council Majota. The ordinance and administration committee voted by roll call, 3 in favor, 0 opposed to amend the September 18th, 2023 committee recommendation by deleting vehicle and adding veteran. And it was moved and seconded. Okay, so we're clear?
We're good.
Good. All right. So roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross,
Absolutely.
Council Grow,
You betcha.
Council Majota,
100%.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Good job. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing 2023-049 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 5, Division 9, Clean City Commission, Section 2-503, Subsection A, Established Terms, Compensation, by deleting the word 7 and adding the word 5.
I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if there's someone that would like to speak in favor. Seeing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, are there any correspondences, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any questions, counselors? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report, once again from Council O'Hara.
On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council amend the Gloucester Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 5, Boards, Commissions, Councils, and Committees, Division 9, Clean City Commission, Section 2-503A, establish terms compensation by amended as follows. There shall be in the city a commission known as the Gloucester Clean City Commission, hereinafter called the Commission, which shall consist of delete 7, add 5 members and two alternates appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council to serve without compensation, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Grow. Is there a committee report? Council O'Hara.
I think this is pretty straightforward. I think the mayor's office is looking to, with the problem with filling positions, moving the numbers to a more reasonable number so that they can have meetings.
Thank you. Further discussion, councilors? Seeing none? Roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross?
Yes.
Council Grow?
Yes.
Council Majota? Yes. Council Memard?
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara?
Yes.
Council O'Neill?
Yes.
And Council Worthley?
Yes.
Yeses have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing 2023-50, amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Division 2, Article 4, Section 21-84, permanent construction or repair, subsection B, Condition 4, by adding with a cap of $500.
I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to speak in favor. Seeing none, would anyone like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Are there any communications, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any questions, councilors? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Hold on one second. Actually, I had to flip our page. I'm sorry. I just want to get my. bearings
Okay,
on
I'm
the
going
number.
to open the public hearing again because I just closed it. Council Worthley has a question.
No, I just
Go
didn't
ahead.
know if I had a question. I just got to get my bearings again. I'm sorry. This is the number 50, the public hearing number 50, and defining permanent construction or repair as being no more than costing $500. Is that correct understanding?
Application fee.
The application fee for the.
Yeah, it's not capping the cost of a reconstruction of a street
I
to
was saying,
$500.
Right. I thought this was.
This is where they put in a linear foot
Got it.
expense for the residents to make sure that they're interested, because it does take work from Public Works to do that.
As
If
I
you
was
feel
flipping-
like in a
Right.
big, long road,
Yes.
it can be cumbersome for people, so we're trying to make it short and sweet.
I apologize. I was using the back page for notes and couldn't figure where I was. And I go back here and I just saw capping repair at $500, and I thought that's
okay.
not going to get us more than.
You
a
always need to follow the
sealed-
meeting, so,
Thank
okay, I'm now going to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report.
On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed, to recommend the City Council amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Street Sidewalks and Other Public Places, Division 2, Permanent Excavation, Article 4, Repair of Private Way, Section 21-84, Permanent Construction or Repairs as follows. Section 21-84, Permanent Construction or Repair. B, abutters to a private way shall begin the process of seeking permanent repair to the private way by submitting a petition to the city clerk signed by no less than 75% of the abutting owners to the private way. Petitioners shall use only official petition forms available from the city clerk's office upon request. Petitioners shall agree in writing that 1, the city may not accept the road as public as a result of the permanent repair process outlined herein. 2, city employees shall be allowed on each abutting parcel in order to repair private ways. 3, any deviation from the current road layout of the existing travel way as a result of the repair of the private way shall be done at the discretion of the Director of the Public Works, and for a non-refundable fee shall be assessed with the petition of $1 per linear foot of the private way at the discretion of the Director of Public Works, adding with a cap of $500. Petitioners shall include the name and contact information for no less than 3 primary contact persons who also shall be abutting owners. In order to proceed, the city clerk must certify all signatures on the petition as submitted, and I so move.
Motion made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Grow. Is there a committee report, Council O'Hara?
This is
I'm
hopefully.
sorry, I meant to say narrative. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is hopefully to just make it a little easier, more economical for neighborhoods who want to go through the betterment process to make it happen at a more economical dollar value than the $1 per foot.
Thank you. Further
welcome.
discussion, councilors? Council Gross.
Yeah, since Councilor Nolan's not here, I'll just, some of his comments were, that could be streets that are like 2,500 feet long and only have 10 residents on them. And that could be, a considerable amount for a reasonable amount of money would be $500 for that. And so that was why this came about, why this was brought forward. So I think this is a good move to have this as a cap of $500. I know on my street we paid $1,800 because we were 1,800 feet long. But that was the way it was then, and I think that this is a good move forward, and it'll help people in the initial stage, because this money gets rolled into it's non-refundable if they back out, but if they go forward with the process, this money gets applied right directly towards that.
Thank you. Further discussion, councilors? Council Memard.
I'd just like to follow up on Councilor Gross's comments that going through a betterment process, as I've done now 4 or 5 times, and trying to do a couple more, this linear foot entry fee, so to speak, is sometimes confusing and intimidating to people just in the process of getting their betterment application rolling. Step towards simplifying it, and some people are concerned about their total exposure and their total cost going into a project like this. This is helpful, and it sets a cap and a limit to what they anticipate just to get started on the project. So this is great.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross.
Yes.
Council Grow.
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard. Yes. Council Nolan. No,
Not
he's
here.
absent. Sorry. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
It's public hearing 2023-036 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedules, Section 22-270, Parking Permitted at All Times, in Section 22-291, Tollway Zones by adding Washington Street westerly side from its intersection with Centennial Avenue in a northerly direction for a distance of 110 feet. And this public hearing was continued from July 1st, 2023 City Council meeting.
I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to speak in favor.
Madam Chair, would it make sense if I could speak in general about all of these public hearings and then
I think we need to do it individually, in my opinion.
and
So,
should I be speaking in favor as they're my orders for each of them?
I guess it's the order maker on city council, so I would. Councilors, does anyone have an objection to that? Or do we wait to discussion for that?
Usually this is for the public, right? But
Public
he is the
hearing.
order maker, so I don't know.
I'll
This
yield
is
to
a little,
whoever makes
I don't,
sense.
it doesn't really, it doesn't matter.
So, but don't make it 15 minutes.
I was thinking 15 minutes on each of the 5 of these, so we can.
Yeah, right.
And I will truncate my
Wait,
comments.
hold on.
I do have somebody's hand up to speak in favor,
Okay.
so I didn't know what wanted.
Right,
Public first.
Sure, if there's public hearing. Yes.
So let's take the person with your hand up. If you would like to speak in favor or in opposition, welcome. Would you say your name and address?
It's Marianne Albert Boucher, 93 Mount Pleasant Avenue. I just want to say that your microphones are very difficult to hear unless you are right on top of them. And we're not getting the full discussion. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I should have said it when I spoke before and I didn't, but it is very difficult. So
Counselors, let's make sure when we're talking, we're right in our microphone because we want everybody to be able to hear us. So thank you, Mary Ann, for that
thank
feedback.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're back to Counselor Worthley.
Thank you. So quick overview. About a year ago, I submitted a,
Wait, no, we're just going.
Right.
Oh,
I'm going to tie it all together. Yeah.
Oh,
This will
okay.
save us time on the other one. So
Okay.
put an order in
Yep.
about a year ago, asked the traffic commission to review this intersection. They came up with some recommendations. I think they had 7 or 8 of them. We boiled them down to 5 orders, which are now 5 separate public hearings. We had a site visit with the traffic commission. I'm sorry, that was before that. And then we had a site visit of the council, a couple of ordinance administration committee meetings. A couple of these we've learned won't fit, giving measurements. So we've narrowed down to, I think, 3 orders that I'm hoping we can move forward with. So on the first one is one of those. This is looking at the intersection of Centennial and Washington, parking prohibited at all times, tollway zones by adding Washington Street westerly side from this intersection with Centennial in a northerly direction for distance of 110 feet. So that would be, if you're coming out of Centennial, taking a left-hand turn. Just make sure. Right. So the objective here is that it's not a straight intersection in that it's, if you're parking, I'm sorry, no, if you're pulling out of Centennial Ave and you're looking to the left, the way the street angles, you can't really see past those first couple of cars. It's great when there's no one parking there, but because parking is allowed, there are cars parked there. And so in order to see past those and the one on the right, you have to pull out a little ways. And when you do that, it makes the intersection that much more anxiety ridden because you're halfway out the street and some people going really fast. What this will do is give you a much better line of sight as you're taking a left-hand turn or right-hand turn for that matter, but a left-hand turn, which is the hardest, you will see a little bit more if we were to take those 2 spaces out. Prior to the site visit, I met with Ravi, who owns the variety store across the street at Tony's. I met with Zorba, who owns George's. There is another commercial building there that is not occupied right now, which is, the building's actually owned by Ravi as well. He lives above it. And those folks have said this will not negatively impact their business, losing those 2 spaces. And even if it did, and specifically Zorba said the upside in public safety is worth it. So the recommendation from the traffic commission and from me is that we eliminate the 110 feet worth of parking on Washington Street so you can see more easily when you pull out of Centennial Ave. So that's my pitch.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor or opposition? Okay, Zorba, great, thank you. Would you introduce yourself? And
Yeah. Sure. My name's Zorba Kinnickstein. I live at 594 Western Ave in Gloucester. I'm one of the owners of George's. So I see a lot of accidents on that corner, and I do agree that it is hard taking the left turn, but I don't believe it's the 2 spaces to the left. I think it's more the vision to the right, because the way the road bends, the amount that you have to pull out onto Washington, you can see to the left all the way up the street. You cannot see to the right. So we're just talking about this first of the 3, right?
Right, we're listening to your opinion on this, so this is very helpful.
Yeah, so I believe that the issue is taking a left turn out of Centennial. And I don't really believe that eliminating the 2 parking spaces to the left would be the thing that would correct the issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there anyone that would, so we've done, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor or opposition? Seeing none, are there any correspondences, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any questions, counselors?
Yes, I have a question. Westerly side from its intersection with Centennial Ave, westerly side coming out of Centennial Ave, does that mean the 2 parking spaces in front of George's? No.
Counselor Neal, if
I
you're on
mean-
Cent-
Okay,
if you're on Centennial,
yeah, no, I see it right
Okay,
here on
perfect,
his
okay.
thing. And 110 feet, how many car spaces is that?
Do you want to
Cars are
screenshot
50 feet
this?
long?
You
we'll,
wanna screenshot
we'll
that?
be roughly lose 2 parking spots because there's a fire hydrant there in a crosswalk. So it would be, in
Okay.
all, 2 total parking spots will be lost.
Okay, thank you.
We in questions or comments?
We are in questions. Any further questions on this? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report from Council O'Hara.
Thank you. I'll read this, but just a note as Marianne Boucher, if you could, because I am hearing the same thing. If everyone could speak right into the microphone, because even since Marianne, people are obviously pulling away because I can't hear you. So I will continue. On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor Majota, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, zero in favor, three opposed. That being Nolan, Majota, O'Hara, to recommend that the City Council amend GCO Chapter 22 Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedule, Section 22-270, Parking Prohibited at All Times, in Section 22-291, Tollway Zones, by adding Washington Street, Wesley Side from its intersection with Centennial Avenue in a northerly direction for a distance of 110 feet, and I so move.
Second.
Motion was made by Council O'Hara. It was seconded by Council Majota. Hope this is loud enough, everybody listening. Is there a discussion? Council Worthley is first.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, Zorba, thank you for correcting that. Later on in the agenda, we do have that one spot in front of the restaurant. This is the 2 on the other side. And I misspoke when I said that you supported this one. I know you supported the one in front of the restaurant. I should make sure that is clear. The second part, and I think Councilor Majota illustrated, even though we're looking at 110 feet, we're not looking at 110 feet of parking because there's a crosswalk, 2 parking spots, fire hydrant, and a driveway. So we're really talking about the 2 parking spots that are directly in front that really come up to the crosswalk and into the intersection. So I do support it. I know that there was a negative vote out of the committee. I still appreciated the site visit that we did, and I think there was Councilor Gross, Majota, Councilor Gilman, Grow, O'Hara, and myself were there for the site visits. Did I miss anybody? No, for the site visit. And there was a lot of good questions asked too. Thank you, Councilor Majota, for your input on that too. Very helpful.
Council Grow.
Yeah, I'm not going to support this. I think the original intention of this this particular motion was to couple up with the right turn only turn, which I understand is being withdrawn tonight. So as I'm sorry, Zorba, I apologize, I don't remember your last name, spoke to, based on my site visit and my experience with this particular intersection, removing those two parking spots on that side of the street on that location doesn't, to me, greatly benefit the overall visibility of being able to pull out. I mean, as long as people park appropriately where they're supposed to, you know, I'm much more inclined to support the 30-foot change on the corner that abuts George's Restaurant. But I don't think that we're seeing a significant change in the visibility or safety of the intersection, but we are losing 2 spaces. And as we all know, parking spaces are, you know, gold, and I'm going to be more inclined to say no to this one.
Thank you. Council Majota.
I will not be supporting this, being the Ward 3 counselor. This being right dab smack in the middle of Ward 3. driving this road every single day. I understand why Council Worthy is doing this, but I don't believe eliminating the parking spots, especially, I'm not speaking for Councilor O'Neill, but Ward 2 and Ward 3 being very condensed, parking is difficult to find. So I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion?
Project.
Who's that?
The Board of Georges and parking's hard to find.
What is going
So
on?
it's just not-
Oh, he was still on as an attendee.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Councilor Gilman?
Yes.
Yes,
Wait.
can I speak?
I've just called on Council Gross, so I'll come back.
Fine.
I'll come to you. right
Not a
after
problem.
Council
Thank you.
Gross. Thank you.
The 110 I think is excessive, but pulling out of Centennial Avenue on, a few occasions in the last couple of weeks where there's been either a tall vehicle, either whether it's just a regular pickup truck, because they're all very tall now, or it's an SUV that's parked legally. I don't know, is it 10 feet back it's 20 feet from a corner, 10 feet from a crosswalk. It's not enough, because that is, as opposed to the other side, the cars coming are on the opposite side of the street. You have a much greater sight line. And this corner actually swings back, it goes back. It can is concave. It bends back in a little queue. So you can't see anything when there's a large vehicle parked there, whether it's, it doesn't have to be a delivery truck, it can just be a simple pickup truck or an SUV. You can't see anything that's legally parked on that corner. So I would hope that we could continue this discussion to possibly come up with another answer on how far back we may want to have a no parking to corner on this intersection. 110, I think it's a little excessive, but I think we can compromise.
I have a technical question. Someone might know here. So we don't have to change the ordinance if we're just putting in a no parking from here to corner, correct? We can, because that typically it's 10 feet, right? From here to corner. Isn't that, so I think that is normal, that is okay. And we can put a sign up with that without needing to change the ordinance.
What I'm saying is there's a sign there now and it's
Oh,
not adequate.
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. Okay. So Council O'Hara, discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. I will not be supporting this, as previously mentioned. The parking in that neighborhood where the businesses are at an absolute premium. I, in fact, believe that possibly taking away, and this is just my thoughts on this. It's a very dangerous intersection. I've mentioned it many times. We're a city of 400 years. It was a goat path way back when, and now obviously we know what's traveling that road.
Councilors,
By
can we
possibly,
listen to Council O'Hara? Thank you. Sorry, Council O'Hara.
not a problem. By possibly eliminating those 2 parking spaces and just thinking outside the box, you eliminate those 2 parking spaces, you've actually increased the width of the road, which possibly may cause cars to drive faster. We are rebuilding roads, narrowing the roads, putting bump outs to slow vehicles down. Obviously, that's a discussion for another day, possibly with the DPW director as far as how the actual road configuration is. But I think possibly eliminating those 2 cars may create cars driving faster. So again, I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Council Worthley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to acknowledge Councilor Gross, your thought on this. I share it. Could be because I have a short car or because I'm short, but I have difficulty seeing when I'm turning left. It's also interesting, the parking that is there, it comes right up to the crosswalk. So if someone, right, it's not supposed to. So if you go into the crosswalk, you have to go into the street before you can see any cars coming, and people drive too fast, especially if they come off the highway. And so I don't know how else we can say, okay, if you're on the sidewalk, you should be able to see, but you can't because there's a car there. You got to go in the street before you can see, and people don't slow down. Is there a foot difference where you can say, this instead of the 110 feet, which includes the hydrant and driveway, is there a number that we can put in to eliminate one spot to improve it? Alternatively, we could start over and resubmit this, and it would take another, I mean, this is a year. I think I put it in October last year. So is there something we can do to make it a little bit safer for people who are crossing the street, people who are pulling a left, taking a left-hand turn out of there? That's a plea for some creativity.
Any further discussion? Councilor Grow.
If I could ask, we can do this via Map Geo.
Can you speak into the microphones?
Be nice to have you join us too sometime. If we take a moment to take a recess for a couple minutes and see if we can't through Map Geo measure that distance to that one space, maybe that might be the solution. I don't think personally that the elimination of that space is going to make any difference, but if that would, I don't know. I'm just trying to offer a suggestion.
Can we recess and research for a few minutes? Legally?
So we can take Councilor Grow.
I've been looking at Map Geo and looking at the aerial photograph, and I cannot discern, I can't even find the hydrant in that on Map Geo. So I think it requires a physical site visit.
Right, then I'm inclined to keep going forward then and resubmitting.
I think a potentially another option could be to make it safer, and something that I can look into, is having a pedestrian crosswalk signal, or flashing lights where you see in other areas of town or other cities where pedestrians can hit the button and there could be on the sidewalk say hey, someone's crossing. That could be a possibility, but I would like to get more information on that to make sure that it can be done.
Madam Chair.
So Councilor
Just
Memard.
following up on our recent experience, I mean, one particular issue that you've highlighted here in this discussion is the fact that there is a marked crosswalk, but cars are parking right up to it. And this is identical to what we went through on Washington, on Rogers Street with Gorton's, and creating a legislated setback from the crosswalk so that pedestrians can see the oncoming traffic and vice versa, traffic can see the pedestrians that are waiting to cross in the crosswalk. So it may be possible to eliminate one space and keep the other, given the topography here, but I would agree that it does deserve a site visit and retweaking to put this to bed properly.
So do Councilor O'Neill.
And on that very note, we put up orange Jersey barrier there. Temporarily. It's been there for a while, but we could do that for immediacy.
Gorton's actually put up those there by the police department, gave them permission to.
Okay.
Councilor Grow and then Councilor Worthley.
I think we're at this point. I think we probably should just proceed with the conclusion of this particular public hearing. But what it really comes down to is an issue of enforcement, because there's already regulations that tell you where you can and can't park at that intersection. If people are parking up to the crosswalk, they're in violation and should be ticketed. So it's one of these things that we can go ahead and eliminate the parking space and solve none of the problem if there's no enforcement. So I'm inclined to leave it as it is and ask the police department to be a little bit more vigilant about enforcing parking, non-parking in that particular spot, which is already signed and ready to go.
Okay. There's nothing prohibiting us from moving on this particular order and then going back and looking at it again. Okay.
I would just like to note that on the enforcement piece, that car was perfectly legally parked by the sign that said no parking here to corner. So there was no recourse.
Madam Chair.
So my issue right now, just so I'm transparent with everybody, is that we've never looked at the questions that came out of the site visit. And we said at O&A that we were going to do it tonight. So, so yes, we did, because I thought that was my hand raised, that Council Nolan didn't want me to speak because I wasn't on the, and so afterwards, he said that that would be done tonight, going through the questions
hear
from
that.
the
Okay.
site visit. And that's my issue right now. I just want to make sure, not as much for this particular one, but for some of the other ones we're talking about, we never looked over those, and we agreed that we would go through those questions and answers.
When was that agreement made at O&A? The meeting it was agreed? No, when was the agreement made that we're going to have that discussion here?
Oh, it was, he wouldn't let me talk, rightfully, because I was asking a question on protocol. So he said that I wasn't on that subcommittee. So when I talked to him after the meeting, I said, that was what I wanted to say, is that typically when you have a site visit, you open it during the standing committee and you review it before you make your motions coming out of standing committee. But it's unusual to have a site visit for O&A. We've only done them for P&D. So there's no fast and furious rule. But I just wanted to look at those questions before we, those questions maybe should be part of the public hearing at this point. So Joanne is looking at his questions. They were in the O&A meeting, the last O&A meeting. It was the October 2nd. They weren't in the packet. Jeff, they weren't in the packet?
I don't prepare the packets, so I submitted the questions to the clerk's office from the site visit back in early August. Right, August. What was that, Councilor? Groh?
I did not find them in the
Yeah,
packet.
they weren't in the pack. I don't remember seeing the pack. I remember submitting them.
O&A's packet. I did not see them in here, and I don't see them on the agenda. Wait a minute, site visit.
think
Oh,
they're
yeah,
in the
there it
packet
is.
Of the O&A
I
meeting.
think you
Yep,
typed it
it
up
is.
and gave it to
You're right.
them.
It's right here. Yep, it's in the packet. One quick page.
So in fairness to this question, can you at least look through that list of questions and see if any of them pertain to this particular ordinance section that we're looking at right now, to make sure that we get an answer to that before we,
The 7
vote.
questions. You want me to read them?
well, can you, well, I
Mine's
guess.
Related to this hearing.
Go ahead.
What is the radius of a right-hand turn onto Centennial by a truck pulling a trailer bed? What is the turning radius of a trailer truck? What is the impact on the neighborhood streets, Knowlton, Whittemore, and Curtis? For examples, if Grove Street is made right-hand turn only for vehicles coming out of Grove Street who want to go left onto Washington Street, or people who pull into Tony's Variety upon their exit? What is the impact on Carl's Cones and the 15-minute parking spot on Grove Street? What is the impact on a trailer truck coming out of Grove Street, which is proposed to be right turn only if it wants to go left? How far on Washington Street would the no parking be extended to? Using the estimated 3-foot length per step, Councilor Groh marked off 110 feet. That was in parentheses. What happens when a truck hauling a boat makes a wide right-hand turn on Centennial and there is someone with a potential right-hand, in the potential right-hand turn lane? Those are the questions. Most of them, I think, are pertaining to the right-hand.
Right, so I don't, I didn't hear any of those pertaining to this particular ordinance, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then, so my point is, we don't have any questions that need to be answered based on the site visit. Thank you. Okay.
And those questions helped formulate the decision to withdraw some of the ones that were a little bit more complicated or unanswerable, with questions that weren't able to be answered. So they were good questions.
Okay.
If we can go back to this hearing, though, I'd like to just speak on it.
Sure, so this is the discussion right now on this particular ordinance.
So I appreciate when you say, Councilor Gilman, there's nothing to stop us from reintroducing this and making a change of some sort. With all due respect, there's a lot of time that gets put into this, and you're starting over and asking the traffic commission, and then there's advertisements that we got to pay for public hearings. Could we continue this hearing for 2 weeks? Get a measurement, get a picture, whatever it is that we are missing for information. If the will of the committee is, the council is to look at one space being removed versus two, we'd at least have we have a linear footage we could put in and then vote on that potentially, because I'd hate to, if this fails here, we'd start a process that might take another, I don't know, 6-8 months with a referral to traffic commission again and back to this council. So I'd like to put a motion on the table unless there's, well, we'll give it a vote to continue this for 2 weeks if we can, in order to get the answers to the questions of measurements so that we could consider one space versus two being removed.
So the motion is to continue public hearing 2023-036 to amend that particular number. Okay, so you're asking for that specific.
Just to continue this
to
hearing so that we
continue
could
it.
come back and make a motion and have some information on what that
Okay.
amendment might be for
Did I,
one spot.
did I close the public hearing, Joanne? I did. Okay, so I closed the public hearing. So you're saying that you would like to postpone the discussion into a later date of the next meeting, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so there's.
The vote, right.
Okay, so there's a motion. Who made the motion?
I did.
Council Worthy, who seconded? Seconded by Council Gross. Further discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote. Gilman, yes. Council Gross?
Yes.
Council Grow?
Yeah.
Council Majota?
Yes.
Council Memard?
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara?
Yes.
Council O'Neill?
Yes.
Council Worthy?
Yes, and thank you.
Motion passes to continue it to the next meeting. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next meeting, I just want to mention the date would be October 24th.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's not a public hearing on that one because we closed the public hearing.
That is
It's
correct.
Just the vote.
Yep.
And discussion.
Public hearing 2023-038 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedule, Section 22-277, 1-hour parking generally by deleting Washington Street at its intersection with Centennial Avenue from its southwesterly corner to its first utility pole. And this was continued from July 11, 2023.
I'd like to open up the public hearing and ask Council Worthy to introduce this topic.
Thank you. This hearing and the next one are tied together. And this is specifically the spot in front of George's if you're coming out of Centennial Ave on the right-hand side, so that we would have to eliminate the allowing of 1-hour parking in order to then move it up one spot in the center. Right? So this is, so if you're coming out of Centennial and you're looking to the right, there's parking that's 20 feet, literally right on the number of 20 feet from that intersection. And we're hoping to move it down 10 further feet, so 1 parking space to make it 30 feet. What we need to do is, in this first one is to eliminate the spot, and the next one is to move it 10 feet. So I support this. This is the one, and I misspoke in the last one, that Zorber came out of the restaurant to tell me he thought it was in the best interest of public safety. And I really respected that it could negatively impact his business, and he still thought it was important to do. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, so if he's here and wants to say that specifically, I'd be happy to hear it. But to be clear, this is that spot.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Zorba, you're back. Could you reintroduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Zorba Kinnickstein. I live at 594 Western Ave. I'm one of the owners of George's. And so I agree with removal of 1 parking space so people can see better around the corner. However, I think without a crosswalk there, people will continue to park there, just like I observe them parking right in front of the sign that says "Do not park from here to corner" frequently. So I really think the issue is the speed of people driving towards the Rotary on Washington Street. And someone mentioned earlier, possibly like a blinking light with a crosswalk sign. And also just from myself crossing the street and seeing my guests try to cross the street, we have a lot of foot traffic. And to get people to walk from the other side of Washington over 3 different crosswalks to get to George's is an unlikely thing to occur. So I do support losing that one parking spot in an effort to be able to have people see around the corner. But I think without a crosswalk there, it's not really going to fulfill the goal of being safer. I think without getting cars to slow down, it's still going to be a dangerous intersection. And I know it's not this matter, but I think maybe making Curtis a one-way in the other direction would allow people to make a left turn onto Washington where they have sight lines in both directions.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor or in opposition? Seeing none, are there any correspondences, Madam Clerk?
No, there are none.
Are there any communications? I just said that. Are there any questions? And are any of those questions, Tony, that you had read from the site visit pertaining to this particular? No, seeing none. Any further questions on this, counselors? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report from Council O'Hara.
On a motion by Council Nolan, seconded by Council Majota, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, 1 in favor, 2 opposed. 1 in favor was Nolan, 2 opposed, Majota, O'Hara, to recommend that the City Council amend GCO Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedule, Section 22, 277, 1-hour parking generally, by deleting Washington Street at the intersection with Centennial Avenue from its southeasterly corner to its first utility pole, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Majota. Do you have a narrative on the committee report, Council O'Hara?
No, I think it's been discussed as far as the point is to eliminate that first space as you exit Centennial looking to the right, and the first parking space.
Thank you. Further discussion on this, Council Majota, the ward councilor, of
Yes,
course.
in O&A, I did vote against this, and I'm happy that I was able to have another week to think about it, and just hearing Zorba, who I highly respect, graduated class of 2001 with, and I think all of Gloucester loves George's. And for the safety of the people, I do recommend this, and I will be supporting this no parking. And I think the key to making this truly happen is once we do it is the enforcement, and whether it is, a police presence, or the DPW can put a barrier there for the beginning, to make people aware that there is no parking there, but to open up the sight line to make it safe for pedestrians, guests, residents. I'm just in favor of this, so thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Council Worthley and then Council Grow.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Majota, as a Ward 3 councilor, from one former Ward 3 councilor to a Ward 3 councilor. Thank you for that. To address Zorba's point, and I supported it, and I still support it, crosswalks aren't in the jurisdiction of the city council, and it would really be up to the Department of Public Works. And Mike Hale has said that the standard is not to have a crosswalk on a right-hand turn because it's hard to see the people in the crosswalk. So we will certainly revisit that and raise the question. But the first step is the spot would have to be removed in order to put a crosswalk there. So again, this doesn't guarantee a crosswalk. It doesn't eliminate a chance for a crosswalk, but it gives the line of sight a better chance right there. So the only question is, did Zorba vote for you for class president in 2011? Sorry, you were the class president?
I was class president.
We didn't ask you.
I don't know if that matters. If this particular.
Well, that
moment-
changes everything.
But did Zorba vote?
2 years running, yes, but
Wow.
yes, I was, and I don't know if you did.
Just joking.
What's the going?
Council Grow.
I just want to point out that what we're voting on right now is the elimination of the 1-hour parking. We're kind of doing this backwards. That for that to be meaningful, we need to make sure that we support the second one, which is the elimination of the actual space. And I'm going to be supporting this, by the way. back up my ward counselor, in Ward 3, former class president of GHS.
So we can continue. We're on number 6, 1 hour parking, right? Okay, at that. Any further discussion? I'm going to be supporting this. I think it makes sense. I like the fact that the owner's on the call with us. And I think we've vetted this. I attended the site visit. I think it's helpful. So any further discussion? Seeing none. Everybody's clear what we're voting on? Roll call vote. Counsel Gilman, yes. Counsel Gross.
Yes.
Counsel Grow.
Yes.
Counsel Majota.
Yes.
Counsel Memard.
Yes.
Counsel Nolan is absent. Counsel O'Hara.
Yes.
Counsel O'Neill.
Yes.
Counsel Worthley.
Yes.
The yeses have it. 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing 2023-039, amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedules, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tow-away zones by adding Washington Street westerly side from its intersection with Centennial Avenue in a southerly direction for a distance of 30 feet. And this public hearing was continued from the July 11, 2023 City Council meeting.
I'd like to open the public hearing and ask if anybody would like to speak in favor. Counsel Worthley.
I'd be happy to speak in favor
Okay.
of this. Again, just in summation, this is to allow for a parking spot, but this is now 30 feet from the intersection. So it basically moves it 10 feet further southwest, I guess, but further to the right. So that does give an opportunity for a better line of sight for people walking or for people driving.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none? Roll call vote.
Close the public hearing.
You got to close the
Oh,
public
I'm
hearing.
sorry.
Yeah.
Are there any communications?
Yeah.
There are no communications.
And there's Zorba
Wait.
Kinnixton.
We're
Oh,
okay.
wait a
I'm
minute.
back. Don't,
Right?
we don't have to all take over the public hearing. Thank you, everybody. So we're back to the public hearing and we're asking Madam Clerk, if she has any
Anybody else here in favor?
communications?
We have
Oh.
someone, Zorba wants to speak again. He
Okay,
Just raised his hand.
thank you. So Zorba, you're back and we'd love to hear from you again.
Yes,
Welcome
sorry. So I'm worried about the distance of 30 feet. I'm all in support of losing one parking spot in front. However, 30 feet is more than one parking spot, and I think that would go more than halfway down the restaurant. You know, I'm all for public safety, but you know, parking is very limited where we are. So I don't want to lose more than one parking spot, and I believe 30 feet would be more than that. I did vote for Frank for class president as well.
I would get that on record.
Both years?
So now any further, anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, is there any communications, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any further questions to ask? Counsel Worthley.
I was going to answer a question essentially, but we are not adding 30 feet. We're 30 feet from the curb of Centennial, but we're adding 10 from the original 20. We had to eliminate the 20 to add in 30, which is really just the 10 extra feet. So it is just one spot, Zorba. I should make sure that was, if someone else can say it more clearly than I just did, please do, because we are just removing one spot, but the measurement starts from the intersection, not from where the last spot exists. Is that any clearer? We good?
I'm
Crystal.
clear.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else need clarification? Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the committee report.
On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor O'Hara, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call, 1 in favor. Nolan, 2 opposed, being Majota and O'Hara, to recommend that the City Council amend GCO Chapter 22 Traffic Motor Vehicles, Article 6 Traffic Schedule, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times in Section 22-291 tollway zones by adding Washington Street westerly side from its intersection with Centennial Avenue in a southerly direction for a distance of 30 feet, and I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor O'Hara, seconded by Counselor Majota. Is there a narrative, Counselor O'Hara?
I think it's been discussed with everyone.
Okay. Further discussion, Counselor Gross.
Yeah, I actually, I drive my wife's old car and it's a Toyota sedan and it's low. And, you know, a lot of people now drive vehicles that are much higher. And that's where I've been having my observations coming out of Centennial, which I've been doing quite often lately. And it is necessary to have these setbacks for safety. You know, if we're going to sell out for parking spaces over safety, then there's something wrong with us. So that's all I have to say on that.
Any further discussion?
I just want
Counselor Majota.
Yes, thank you, Council Worthy. Just to be confirmed that we're only losing one spot, not additional. And like what Councilor Gross said, you know, safety is the most upper important for all the residents here, and this is just one step forward. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Counselor Gilman, yes. Counselor Gross.
Yes.
Counselor Grow.
Yes.
Counselor Majota.
Yes.
Counselor Memard.
Yes.
Counselor Nolan is absent. Counselor O'Hara.
Yes.
Counselor O'Neill.
Yes.
Counselor Worthley.
Yes, and thank
Motion
you.
passes 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing 2023-037 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedules, Section 22-265, turning movements generally by adding Washington Street right lane, right turn only, westerly side from its intersection with Centennial Avenue in a northerly direction for a distance of 110 feet. This was continued from the July 11th, 2023 City Council meeting and is to be withdrawn.
So do we need to vote to withdraw it or?
Committee report like that.
Okay, committee report from Council O'Hara on the withdrawal.
On a motion by Councilor Nolan, seconded by Councilor Majota, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the City Council accept the withdrawal request of CC 2023-031 Wordley without prejudice, and I so move.
Second.
I've got a question. He said 31, isn't it 37?
No, the public hearing is 37.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Right, both ways.
So there's a motion to withdraw. And we need to vote that as a full committee.
To withdraw his
Right.
council order
Okay.
for this public
So
hearing.
everyone's clear in the motion. Counselor Gilman, yes. Counselor Gross?
Discuss it for a moment before we vote.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say first, thank you for doing this without prejudice. Councilor Margiotta suggested a light of some sorts, and I would love to have some sort of light there, either traffic or pedestrian. But I think that I want to just make sure that the Traffic Commission knows we appreciate that they recommended this. And the reason for the withdrawal, in part, were the questions that were raised at the site visit, but also the DPW director submitted a drawing that showed that there wasn't enough room to do an extra lane there. And interestingly, the Traffic Commission has someone from the DPW that put some input into this. And so we didn't have that information, and that's why that was something I did support. But after we got that information, it doesn't make sense. And I thank the councilors for the questions raised at the site visit. That's why I'm asking to withdraw it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, a roll call vote. Counselor Gilman, yes. Counselor Gross?
Yes.
Counselor Grow?
Yes.
Counselor Majota?
Yes.
Counselor Memard?
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara?
Yes.
Counselor O'Neill?
Yes.
Counselor Worthley?
Yes.
The yeses have it, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
It's public hearing 2023-040, amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles, Article 6, Traffic Schedules, Section 22-265, turning movements generally by adding Grove Street at its intersection with Washington Street, right turn only. This was continued from the July 11, 2023 City Council meeting, and it's to be withdrawn.
Council O'Hara, the committee report.
On a motion by Council Nolan, seconded by Council O'Hara, the Ordinance Administration Committee voted by roll call 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend the City Council accept the withdrawal request of CC 2023-034 Worthley without prejudice, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's made by Council O'Hara, seconded by Council Worthley. Is there a discussion, councilors? Seeing none, roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross.
Yes.
Council Grow.
Yes.
Council Majota.
Yes.
Council Memard.
Yes.
Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
The motion passes 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is public hearing 2023-015 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Section 21-1, prerequisite to acceptance of ways by adding a new language regarding petition requirements and by adding criteria A through F. And this was continued from June 27th, 2023, and it's going to be re-advertised.
Okay, are there any questions on why we're doing that, councilors? I don't need to open this public hearing because it's being re-advertised. Okay. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is public hearing 2023-031 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Article 1 in general, Section 21-1, prerequisite to acceptance of ways by striking current Section 21-1 and adding a new Section 21-1, prerequisite to acceptance of ways. This was continued from June 27th, 2023 City Council meeting, and this is going to be re-advertised also.
May I correct that? I think that we never advertised Council Gross's, correct?
We didn't.
Okay.
So on that one, it's City Council Order 23004 and City Council Order 23016. So it was Nolan and Gilman and Worthley. And then now at the last meeting, they voted in another section. So we're just going to re-advertise all as one.
Right, but I
Yeah.
was correct to
Yeah.
say that. Okay, I
Yes.
just want this to be clear, because this
Yeah.
is what we just said. Okay, I think we're all set with that. So next order of business, Madam Clerk.
This for council vote is the warrant for the November 7th, 2023 municipal election.
Move to adopt the warrant for the municipal election to be held on November 7th, 2023. Motion's made to move and seconded by Council Memard. Would you like to discuss this, Madam Clerk? What are we saying?
Does this mean we all win?
No.
Madam Clerk, would you
Okay.
like to,
It's just a warrant to hold the election. And it's the city council vote to adopt this so that we can post the warrant at City Hall and put it in our clerk record books for the election. And it would be for the offices that are for the November 7th and whoever moved forward from the preliminary election and others who were not in the preliminary election, those contests would be on that also. So it's done at every election. We did it for the preliminary, so we'll have to do it at the election. And then
And
we'll,
this is something we all need to sign.
yes. And I brought it with me. Okay.
thank you. Further discussion on the motion, councilors? Seeing none, roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross?
Yes.
Council Grow?
Yes.
Council Majota?
Yes.
Council Memard?
Yes.
Council Nolan is absent. Council O'Hara?
Yes.
Council O'Neill?
Yes.
Counsel Worthley.
Yes.
Yeses have it, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is individual counselors' discussion, including reports by appointed counselors to committees. And it's Counselor Val Gilman on an update on the Council on Aging.
Counselors, I'm going to confess something. I left my typed up report on the printer and did not bring it. But I do want to take an opportunity. There are 3 or 4 dates that I just want to mention about the Council on Aging. And if I wait to the next meeting, then I'm not going to be able to communicate the dates. First of all, on October 12th, there is our Director of Elder Services, Elise Sinagra, is delighted to report that the Rose Baker Senior Center will participate in the Gloucester Indigenous Heritage Film Festival, a 6-day event during which we will host screenings and discussions on Thursday, October 12th. To paraphrase the stated goals of the festival, the intention is to educate the community, to engage and entertain, and by doing those things, to encourage discussion meant to address stereotypes, misinformation, or misguided generalizations about these important communities. So I just wanted to mention that. And let's see, on the 16th, there is the Old Salties Jazz Band, jazz and Dixie music to this at the Senior Center, swinging tunes from 1 to 3. We also have some great reminders, and seeing that so many of us on this dais right now is so committed to the open door, everybody is. On Thursdays and Friday every week, the Rose Baker partners with the open door, and there's free soup and sandwich lunches, and the delicious soup is made by the open door chefs. And for those 2 dates during the week, Thursdays and Fridays, if you can sign up by 4 on Tuesday for the Thursday's lunch, you can sign up by 4 on Wednesdays for the Friday's lunch. And all you have to do is call 978-325-5801 if you want to sign up. And on Thursdays, there's music accompaniment by Malcolm Ingram on the ukulele. So you can also have lunch and rock it. So it's pretty exciting. And then on Mondays through Fridays, Mondays through Wednesdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, the Senior Center partners with Senior Care. And you can have lunches at the Senior Center. And the sign up is you call 978-283-0359 before 10 the day before. You can either enjoy your lunches at the Senior Center or you can grab and go. So it's exciting. I'm not going to talk about a heck of a lot more, except I did want to say the Halloween party luncheon is at Rose Baker is going to be on Thursday, October 26th at 11:30. And Cape Ann Seniors on the Go, Monday through Friday schedule in October. On October 16th, Seniors on the Go is going to Beverly Bootstraps Thrift Store with lunch at the Anchor in Beverly. On October 23rd, they're going to Peabody Plaza, Trader Joe's and TJ Maxx, and they're going to Peabody with lunch at the Putnam Pantry. And October 30th, near and dear to me, is Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical High School. They're going to the Danvers Tech for a tour of the cosmetology school, and they're going to have lunch at the culinary school's Maple Street Bistro. So that's really cool. So anyone that's interested in any of those Cape Ann Seniors on the Go should feel comfortable to call 978-325-5812 and sign up. The lunch is at the expense of the participant. So I think that is all. But again, I'm sorry I didn't have my handout. As I said, it is on my printer, but it didn't make it here. But I wanted to mention some of these. Rose Baker is exciting and lots going on, and hope a lot of people are taking advantage of it. So Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Is Counselor Gilman City Council statement regarding the Gloucester 400 celebration.
I'm happy to read the statement. 2023 marks 400 years since the English Dorchester Company landed on our shores. Gloucester sits on the ancestral homeland of the Pawtucket people and their neighbors, the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, and Pennacook and Wampanoag tribes. Please enjoy this year's long and multiple events through 2023, most of which will be free or low cost. Visit gloucesterma400.org for a list of upcoming events. Like and share the Gloucester 400th Facebook page. To receive major event notifications by email, send a request to info@gloucesterma400, all one word, .org. Thank you. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Council's request to the mayor.
Okay, we'll start with Council Gross.
I'm good with request to the mayor, but I would just, can I also talk about other things?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So I went to, my wife volunteers at Wellspring, and I went to their volunteer night. It was rather eye-opening on the amount of things that that organization does. It is just absolutely phenomenal. They have a, they are open to, for visits for the historical building that they have over there and all that. They've done an awful lot of work on the research of who the original Black family was that lived there, the Freemans. And it's rather fascinating to see all the, how that whole neighborhood was, back in the early 1800s to mid 1800s. And I really suggest that anybody who has an opportunity to go visit Wellspring and go through, they have an excellent, almost mural type historical account with all the narrative that goes with it. And what they do for housing is absolutely phenomenal, and what they do in their mentoring programs, they do so much good work. And I was, I said to my wife, she said, well, how come you don't know that? And I said, well, I don't. So, I just think that an awful lot of people need to be more aware of what Wellspring does. We hear a lot about the other organizations, Action and Open Door and Pathways, but Wellspring is doing a mountain of work over there, good works. I mean, we know that they came here. Was it before us that they came and presented about that they're landlords, that they're the tenants for people to be able to rent. So that's just one of their programs, but they are a fantastic organization.
Thank you, Counselor. Next person is Counselor Grow.
It's me. A couple things. One, I'd like to more clearly articulate the event this weekend on the 14th, which is the Public Safety Day with the Gloucester Police Department. Is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Harbor Loop on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. I wasn't prepared to announce that. A quick nod to the celebration of place and the cultural heritage that was celebrated by the Gloucester 400 at Sage Fort Park, particularly the fact that it engaged the native community that lived here and celebrated that as well as our post 400 cultural heritage. I'd like a particular tip of the hat to Alana Horn and her involvement with not only the Magnolia Farmers Market this year, but all that she did to bring together Magtoberfest, which I think is largely considered to be a stunning success, and hopefully will just get better and better as the years goes by. So those are those things that I wanted to point out. I would like to make a request to the mayor. The discussion of the living wage has been something that's been on my mind actually for a couple of years now. And while I was reticent to get involved in the negotiations and the discussions with the paras, the issue of a living wage is still something I think that the city council and the administration needs to address. And what I would like to request is that the mayor convene a working group with the auditor, the treasurer, the personnel and legal department, and either a representative of BNF or ONA or City Council to begin the process of examining what a living wage ordinance in Gloucester would mean, what it would cost, what the consequences of it might be, so that we could consider the possibility of joining other communities across the country who have established living wage ordinances and begin to establish a realistic floor that acknowledges the cost of living in the communities that have these ordinances and what it really costs to be an employee. Now, this is not something that I think is going to dramatically change positions that are established or of seniority, but they will certainly address the issue of starting wages and folks on the lower end of the pay scale in city employees. And I think that's something that is a serious issue that we really do need to address. I think it's unlikely that it's going to happen this year. I hope whether I'm on the council next year or not, that the council begins to take this as something that they take seriously with the administration, and so we can't come to a place where we acknowledge the stifling cost of living that we have here and the difficulty in keeping employees, especially at the lower end of the scale. But I mean, I think that filters up through all the pay scales. So that would be my request to the mayor, and I hope that he takes it seriously.
Thank you, Counselor. Next up is Counselor Majota.
I have to follow up with Councilor Grow and Grows. No, with the actual request to the mayors, I do not have anything I have requested has been through email. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Counselor Memard.
I wanted to share first that I had the privilege of participating with the Gloucester 400th Plus in their To Be a Gloucester Man program that was held at Gloucester Stage Sunday night. It tells the story of Edward de Cahota, or Ned Cahota, who was a Chinese immigrant in the early 1800s, came aboard he actually was a stowaway on a schooner, and he was taken by the family of Captain Day, who lived in what is now the Elias Davis House, which is part of the museum compound on Pleasant Street. It's a fascinating story. He went on to serve in the Army for like 30 years, and he saved a fellow Gloucesterman at one of the terrible wars during the Civil War. He was never acknowledged as a citizen of the United States because of Chinese discrimination. And our privilege Sunday night was to present him with a proclamation of him being a Gloucester man for Gloucester and presenting him with a American flag, or his family. The play is written by one of his great-grandsons, and he's on the tail of Lin-Manuel in terms of having a good musical presentation and production.
Thank you.
On the other note, not to compare other war zones, but Mount Pleasant Avenue is a war zone. And the milling and the preparation for paving is underway. They started on Veterans Day in full force, and our city's general contractor for paving, Nocella Paving, has some really impressive grading and paving equipment that's been mobilized, and they're going at it on Mount Pleasant and surrounding streets for at least another week and a half, if we're lucky. And at this point, there is no parking on the street. On a follow-up note, we've been notified by Mike Hale and the DPW that National Grid is going to be just beginning another infrastructure project in East Gloucester and Ward 1. And they're going to be digging up the streets to make some gas upgrades and connections, including on Beach Road from number 47 Beach Road, on Atlantic Road from 4 to 25 Atlantic Road, from 1 to 14 on Brightbed Avenue, from 36 to 47 on Haskell Street, and on 2 to 8 Shapley Road. So all those roads will be having some excavation work for the installation of new gas lines and connecting gas service on the side. So look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Nolan is not here. Counselor O'Hara.
Thank you. I just want to ask everybody to keep the men and women of the armed services, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard in their prayers as they move. They're presently moving the Gerald R. Ford Strike Group 12 to the Eastern Mediterranean Sea to assist if needed with the conflict in Israel. And the Nimitz Carrier Strike Group that's Strike Group 11 is in the South China Sea. And they're protecting the Philippines and Taiwan from what's going on with China. So we owe it the men and women of the armed forces and keep all of the men and women in our prayers. Also, there's a 5,500 miles away, but there's a young 19-year-old girl, Lael, dear friend's cousin, daughter, who's been missing since Friday in Israel. So it strikes home, even though it's 5,500 miles away. The Red Cross has a blood drive tomorrow at the Magnolia Library. There are 14 open slots. The Red Cross is keeping the passageways open for assistance with what's going on in Israel, and they haven't been called up, but there is definitely a shortage of blood. So everyone consider rolling up your sleeves and donating a gift of life. You can start tomorrow at the Magnolia Library. Thank you.
Thank you, Council O'Hara. Council O'Neill.
I have no requests. I do have my letter that I wrote. I also have a letter from a constituent that I want to enter into the record.
Thank you. Council Worthley.
Yes, I'm going to go as quickly as I can through a bunch of things. I want to thank everybody who helped with the cleanup event that we held starting at Burnham's Field and spreading throughout the city. We collected 55 bags of litter, and it's always sad that there is that much litter, but it's nice to see people volunteering to help. So thank you to everybody with that. Tomorrow morning, the Open Doors having their autumn breakfast starting at 7:30 in the morning at Beauport Hotel. I think Councilor Gross got a wonderful award last year. I'm not sure if you're getting another one this year, but who knows? No, but thank you for all you do. That's a fundraiser for their holiday baskets, and that's tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. I think tomorrow we have Dick Wilson Day at Gloucester High School, 2 p.m. What's that? 2:30? Okay. I put it in my phone for 2 o'clock, so I'm there on time. I want to thank the mayor and everybody who participated in the domestic violence abuse awareness event last week. I went to the very first one of those 23 years ago, and Nicole Rashawn, she's a mentor of mine in some ways. I did a thesis paper in college on the victimization of women, and I interviewed her. And it's just amazing, A, that we were both at the same place at the same time last week, and B, that it's still an issue, domestic violence, and it's sad that that's the case. I'd like to commend the first responders who rescued the women who were swept off of the breakwater. I understand they're doing well, but there were some injuries, and obviously our first responders did a remarkable job to rescue them. Thank you for that. I'm missing one. Okay, there was a debate last night at the Lanesville Community Center. I think we should commend them for pulling that together. I think Councilor Gilman and I were the two councilors who were there, and Councilor Marjanov was there as a candidate, and Mary Pat DeRosa. But I thought there was a very robust discussion. And the last thing, and I think Councilor Nolan, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he would say it if he were here. A big thank you to him, also to Mayor Verga and Ted Coster, everybody who played a part in the Department of Public Works for renovating the pier in Magnolia. Obviously, it was a long process, had to be. I know there was some contentious issues about that, but as far as I understand, it's completed and it's open for business. And obviously, the voting season is pretty much over, but it will be for some. But it's awesome that that got done. So let me just make sure I didn't miss a cleanup. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
And I'm last. So thank you for signing this, and tomorrow For those of you who will be there, I'd love you to stand with Council Nolan and I, because we're going to read the proclamation on behalf of the city council. I'd like you to come up and be present with us. And it's at 2:30 tomorrow, and we're looking forward to that. So I have nothing else to say. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Seconded by Council Grow. Roll call vote. Council Gilman, yes. Council Gross.
Yes.
Council Grow.
Oh, why not?
Council Marjota.
Yes.
Council Memard. Council O'Hara.
Yes.
Council O'Neill.
Yes.
Council Worthley.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned. Bobby, thank you for staying here tonight to close up with us. And thank you to our city clerk, Joanne Sinos.
String will be there tomorrow morning.